Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Nerd Rage Gaming Pokemon Locals. My name is Dan Hugar. You cannot see me, but I promise I do exist.
And I am not Christian Fontenot.
You are not. And you know what, man? Sometimes we got to triage things we're taking care of. But welcome, everyone, to our lovely Pokemon Locals here. Like I said, my name is Dan. I'm here with Brian. We are figuring everything out because Bryce is not here. So
Yeah, so we're kind of on a, lowered, smaller team today, but we're trying to get by. We still wanted to put out a stream for everybody, so Dan's gonna be manning the computer and kind of taking care of a lot of the transitional stuff, and then I'll try to take a little bit more of the heavy lifting with a lot of the commentary tonight. So we've got a lot of fun planned for tonight. We're still fresh off of our Invitational, fresh off of NAIC, so there's a lot of good Pokemon to still be played, and I think people are starting to kind of get their worlds prep in. That's kind of the thing.
So I would
Yeah.
agree. I think we are going to have a very, very interesting couple months because, like you said, Brian, we are getting prepped for Worlds. We are getting set up to try to compete. And for those who are going to Worlds, absolutely. For me,
Yeah.
I am trying to figure out how I'm going to possibly compete next season with a baby.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that a lot of people are kind of getting prepped for next season already. Now that people are starting to get hyped up with all these new locations that have been
Yeah.
released for next season, and then also our invitational, like our new NRG league, is going to be starting up soon next month.
Yes,
Yep.
which I am very, very excited about that.
Very
So,
excited.
Brian, tell the people a little bit about what that actually is. Like, how
Yeah.
is it going to look for this next season?
Yeah, so for the next season, we're hoping to do a much bigger kind of thing. Hopefully, because I think what you were saying is the big invitational event in December, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
we're gonna kind of change up a few things. So the first event of our new invitational structure for the league is going to be the challenge. That's that
Yes.
kind of kicks off next season for the official Pokemon circuit. So that'll start off our points thing, and then top two for all of our challenges and top four of all of our cups will get auto invites. And then how far down the rankings are we doing?
So we're actually just going to do top two of each. So
Oh, top
Brian
two for each.
absolutely
Okay.
has it. So we're going to do top four of each cup is going to get an auto
Yep.
qualification. Top two of each challenge is
Yep.
going to get an auto qualification. And then we are going to do top 16
Oh,
players
top
for the
16.
4 months. So
Okay.
maximum, we're going to have 32 players.
32 players. Okay. So, yeah. So for the top 16, it's going to be, week by week, we're going to be calculating points for our locals. So if you keep coming out, keep playing, you'll have opportunity to kind of qualify from there. And then our monthly challenges and our quarterly cups will be able to kind of get you there as well. So really excited to see what we can do for the next season of our Invitational. It seemed that a lot of people really liked it, and our turnout really showed.
Agreed. And so we had, like you mentioned, about 125 players overall
Yep.
over the course of the week. So it'd be awesome to have people come out. And we also had $500 store credit and a
Oh,
fantastic trophy come
yeah.
out. So
Yeah.
we are good to get started here too.
Yes.
And Brian, what do we got for us?
Yeah, so we've got Kevin playing Pzard versus Rachel playing
Ooh,
Grimmsnarl.
we are playing
Yeah,
Grimmsnarl.
So this is actually a pretty interesting matchup, just because Grimmsnarl kind of spreads damage through the form of damage, and then Pzard likes to kind of spread damage through the form of damage counters, as well as the Charizard kind of trying to reach damage because of the amount of prizes taken. So it's kind of an interesting matchup just to see how um, the damage on the bench can kind of be manipulated, and the Frostlass kind of helps manipulate that for Grimmsnarl's side as well. So
Well,
very cool.
and that's actually the interesting
Yeah.
thing. So Grimmsnarl, like you said, does place damage counters with, well, it does two things. One, it does actually spread damage. It's a Shadow Bullet attack, does 180 active, 30 to the bench, which is good. But it uses Frostlass to place damage counters in between turns, and then Monkey Dory to shift damage from Grimmsnarl's side of the board over. So Grimmsnarl, it kind of does something very similar to Dragapult in that you're a horrible deck for 2 to 3 turns, and then you just sweep and place a ton of damage across the board to try to win in 2 or 3 attacks.
Yeah, and it seems it's pretty funny too that both of these decks are pretty much awful decks for the first like 2 to 3 turns, so it's pretty much which deck is not going to be as bad for the
My
initial part.
favorite kind of deck is your
Yes.
deck horrible until you win. Like, absolutely
Exactly.
the best.
Yeah, so Rachel's got a pretty solid start so far, being able to get a couple of the Impidimps down, being able to get one Snow Run and the Monkey Dory. So the Monkey Dory is very important in this matchup as well. So being able to start that is very good.
And
So,
I was
oh,
gonna
go
say,
ahead.
and
Yeah,
Monkey's really the defining card of the format right now. And
yeah,
going over to Kevin, Kevin's deck also plays Monkey Dory. However, not in a
yes.
count of 45 like Rachel's does, only in count of 1. So Kevin, it helps, but it's kind of an accentuating piece rather than the
Yeah.
focus of the deck.
Yeah, definitely. And it definitely helps too because this Pulsar deck takes advantage of the Luminous Energy as a way to be able to power up both the Dragapult and the Monkey Dory. So very interesting to see how those kind of go by. Kev was able to kind of get the Buddy Poffin and the TM Evolution off of this Arven, and he's hoping to get a very effective evolution play here, probably getting probably I would say 2 Dreepies to come down. That
So
seems to be the play.
2 Dreepy could definitely good. The only risk with that is that if Kevin attaches an energy to the active Dreepy and does not get a Charmander down, it means that if the active Dreepy gets knocked out, Kevin is not going to be able to Phantom Dive next turn, which
Yeah.
granted may not be catastrophic because Rachel doesn't exactly apply a ton of pressure, but maybe Kevin says, I'll hit the rare candy if I get 2 Dracloak out.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's kind of asking a lot for the rare candy play to kind of be hit here, just because I feel like this deck is also like the Grimmsnarl deck is also very slow, just like the Pzard is. So I think Kev's kind of able to make this decision safely, knowing that he'll be able to keep the Dreepy alive.
Well, we say that. And if
Yes,
Rachel wants to be aggressive, I think she could take the knockout here since
absolutely.
Arvin can go get that secret box.
Yes, definitely.
And so, Brian, I'm going to let you read the chat because you can
Yeah,
actually see all the comments over
absolutely.
there. But I think Kat said,
Yeah, Rise of Pulsar needs to be studied, definitely. Yeah.
and I agree. So the NRG Invitational was basically a Pulsar like simulator because I
Yeah.
think we had 4 or 5 in top 8,
Yeah.
including a mirror match in the final. So it's always interesting.
Yeah, Pulsar's super cool just because I mean, the deck itself has answers to a lot of each, side's weaknesses. The Dragapult is able to take multi-prize knockouts, and like kind of board wipe, and then the Charizard's able to reach the damage numbers that the Dragapult isn't able to reach later in the game. So that's why the two of them kind of work well together. And then the Infernal Rain ability is also able to kind of get extra energy into play and power up the Dragapult as well as the Charizard as well.
And John said it very well
Yeah.
when actually we'll keep talking about that in a second.
Yeah.
Let's get to Grimmsnarl. But
Yeah.
on Grimmsnarl, so Rachel actually played that secret box, which is the
Yes.
ace spec of choice for Grimmsnarl. Hugely impactful card because you're able to get an item, stadium, tool, and supporter. And in this case, because that Spike Mooth gym allows Rachel to get a Marnie's Pokemon out of her deck, she's going to be able to rare candy into that Grimmsnarl right
Yeah,
away.
definitely. So it's definitely a line that I didn't even know about till today. But being able to secret box to pretty much get rare candy your second stage is actually so powerful. And this Spike Mooth Stadium is actually really powerful just because you're able to get any Marnie's Pokemon. So if you need setup from like to get more of the Impidimps, if you want to get the Morgrem, or in this instance get the Grimmsnarl, we kind of can. And that Punk Up ability is going to be able to grab 5 Darkness Energies and attach them to the Marnie's Pokemon anyway that she likes.
And that ability is insane because getting to have that much acceleration, it was almost a little bit of a meme when it first came out, but getting that much acceleration is absolutely wild.
Yeah, definitely.
And
And yeah,
I was going to say, and
Yep.
when combined with Frostlass, with Monkey
Yeah.
Dory, like you're able to use all of your manual attachments on Monkey Dory and then not worry at all about setting up attackers, which it's very similar to Charizard. Just
yeah,
from an actual energy distribution standpoint, you get so much more.
definitely. And I think it has really good synergy with Energy Switch item card, just because that allows it to help the Monkey Dories a lot more, just because now you're able to move a lot of those energies from the other Marnie's Pokemon to the Monkey Dories and spread the damage that way as well.
Which is absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
And so the other key piece, and actually my one complaint about Rachel's turn is that she was not able to evolve up that Snow Run, but who am I kidding?
Yep.
She was able to do so. Rachel's board is insane.
Yeah, Rachel's board is in a really good spot right now. She's able to get that initial knockout, get the energy off of the board from Kevin's side, and take advantage of like what you were saying earlier, Dan, how Kevin was able to not have any sort of luminous energy on the board, and there's no Charizard or Charmander to kind of follow up this next turn.
And so that was the risk, is that if Kevin did go with the 2 Cloak, like he was risking not attacking, which may actually be okay if Rachel hadn't gotten such a strong board setup. So
Yeah.
for Kevin's end, we kind of talked about how strong this deck is and what advantages it has. Charizard is a huge closer. Dragapult obviously can do a ton of damage and set up checkmate boards, but into this Grimmsnarl where there's already a Monkey Dory down, this could be a lot harder for Kevin to like sustain pressure.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what he's kind of looking for is to see if he can, thin his hand out, get some more Pokemon onto his board before playing that Iono. And something that I was kind of thinking is if he's able to kind of get a Gust play onto maybe that Impidimp on the bench, or maybe that Frostlass on the bench as well, it can kind of help him buy a turn, just so he can start spreading more damage the following turn and try to get that Charmander going and get some more energy on the board as well.
I do think I completely agree, Brian. If we can countercatcher either the Impidimp or Frostlass and Iono, and honestly, I'd almost say the Frostlass and
Yeah, I
Iono.
think the Frostlass is probably better just because that one would require the attachment.
Exactly, and then you would not be able to attach to Monkey Dory to
Yep.
start to move some of the damage. So yes, I think going after the Frostlass could be a big deal here, but we do definitely need to see the Iono, which we do. And now it's just, can Kevin hit a countercatcher?
Oof. Oh, not able to. But he still has another recon directive, so it gives him another chance here.
We do see a
Ooh,
Pheasantipity,
Fez.
which is huge.
Yeah, the Fez is huge here. Do you think we want to put that down?
I think we do. I think it's a liability, but the ability to kind of set up a stronger board, since I think Kevin would also like another Charmander or another Dreepy down, I think it's worth the risk to start.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would agree with that as well. And I'm trying to think of like other plays you can kind of do here that would be able to lead to a Grimmsnarl knockout, or a knockout on the Grimmsnarl the next turn here, because it seems like he's just stuck with the Dragon Headbutt here for now.
And the Dragon Headbutt into Grimmsnarl is not good, but it's probably fine because it does get him closer to a knockout with a Phantom Dive later in the game.
Yep.
But this is still not exactly where you want it, because now Rachel's going to be able to attach a Dark Energy if she can to Monkey and start really accelerating the game for herself, including if she wants. She's going to be really close to reaching a knockout on that Dracloak on the bench.
Yeah, definitely. And along with the Frostlass damage as well, brings it very close to a knockout, and it'll pretty much force Kevin to have to evolve that into another Dragapult as well, and lose out on a lot of his card draw.
Which is a big, big deal. Oh, if Rachel did move the Monkey Dory damage to the Dracloak, that thing would go down in between turns.
Yeah, and the important part about going down in between turns as well is that now Pheasantipity isn't in effect as well.
100%. And that's a huge deal, since if you eliminate Kevin's draw and prevent any other supplementary draw, like, that's a great place to be.
Yeah, so Rachel's going to go in with the attack here.
And so then, Brian, what do you think about putting that all on Charmander?
I think it's okay, just because this is going to force Kevin to try to find a way into Charizard. Just because now, with all this pressure here, even if, it goes into Charmeleon, if we still use Monkey Dory to move some more of those damage counters, the Charmander is going to be leaving the board very, very soon. So it's going to force Kevin to have to find a play for it. But gets another Charmander here, which isn't the worst thing in the world.
The Fire Energy is pretty good, too.
Yeah, the Fire Energy is good, too.
Because we do need either the evolution of the Charizard EX or a manual attachment to apply pressure. But the one thing I'm going to take a step back and look at this, Brian, is John was talking to us a little bit on Sunday about how this deck is intentionally slow.
Yes.
And both of these players have kind of skipped on that approach and gone very aggressive here.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just to kind of grab a lead. A lot of the times that's the reason why we kind of try to play more aggressively with these slower decks into the slower decks, is just because if you're able to kind of get that early lead, it can be kind of hard for the other deck to kind of claw a comeback.
And I tend to agree, but it's weird to see both decks that are usually comeback decks lean into the aggressive route.
Yeah, definitely.
And so for Rachel, obviously she had a huge advantage with that aggression. Why do you think Kevin went that route?
Yeah, I think Kev wanted to go that route as well, just so we can start catching up. I think that was like the way to that was his way of trying to match, Rachel's board state was to kind of go for that aggressive route as well.
Dexter does not have a Luxcape to my knowledge, and I thought the matchup was pretty good. And Kenneth, after playing a whole lot more games, even on live, I have decided that I was a liar, and this seems like a tough matchup.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like any sort of stage 2 deck will kind of struggle into Grimmsnarl. I know, like, as someone who likes to play Gardevoir, it's a rough matchup as well. But, there's a lot of really good players that have figured out their own lines into this deck just to be able to kind of to get the dubs into it. But it's a really tough matchup just because as soon as that Grimmsnarl kind of comes into play, it's able to be very aggressive.
So I will say the two decks that I think that are stage 2 decks that have a good matchup into it are, weirdly enough, regular Charizard.
Yeah,
Like a
regular.
straight
Yeah.
Charizard is just able to apply a little too much pressure. Then the other one is Dragapult Dusknoir.
Yeah.
And so, sure, Grimmsnarl can absolutely run it over, but Dragapult Dusknoir has the ability to kind of leap in and spread enough damage in a burst turn to kind of kill the board a little bit and make
Yeah.
it a lot harder for Grimmsnarl to kind of build up a checkmate board state.
Yeah, definitely. And I would agree too, just because the Dusknoir kind of helps reach into those taller knockouts as well, just because with the 130, now you can knock out for 330 damage.
Yes. All right, and so we do see Kevin attack with that Phantom Dive, going down to 240 damage on the Grimmsnarl, and then Rachel draws for turn. And I mean, I gotta imagine Rachel's trying to take a big sweep turn here, right?
Yeah, I would think so as well, just because Rachel's going to be able to take multiple prizes this turn, just because the Monkey Dory is going to be able to spread damage. The Grimmsnarl attack's going to be able to put some damage on the board as well, and now that even that Frostlass is able to put damage on the board as well. So a lot of opportunities for Rachel to take extra prizes here, as well as being able to take out that Dragapult in the active. So Rachel's looking to kind of set up her board a little bit more here.
So Kevin, I think, did something really smart. So
Yes.
he evolved up the Charmander to Charmeleon,
Yes.
and also has a Dracloak on the bench. So
Yes, and the second Charmander also.
yes, and so now Rachel has an opportunity to either delete the Charmeleon or delete the Dracloak, and it's going to be very, very hard for her to do both.
Yes.
So with that, there is a chance for Kevin to only have to use one rare candy next turn to get another Phantom Dive off.
Yeah, and I think too another option is if he really wanted to, he could just push up the Charizard.
Yes, exactly.
And it was kind of like what you were kind of saying is that, you use the Charizard as a way to just put extra pressure on as a very self-sufficient attacker. So I think that could be also a very good option for Kevin here as well.
Well, and things got a little sketchier for
Yeah.
Kevin with a second Monkey Dory
second
coming
Monkey
down.
Dory.
And remember how I just said that like one of those two is going to survive?
Yeah.
I don't know if one
I
of
don't
those two is
think-
going to survive
Yeah, I
anymore.
don't think either one's going to survive anymore.
So we do see the 30 damage coming from the monkey. And, well, actually, because both monkeys had to be used to knock out the Dracloak, there's nothing else to add damage to that Charmeleon. So it will be able to survive this turn.
Yeah, it will be, which is huge. But looks like Rachel's going to be ready to attack here. And I want to see where she puts the damage counter, or the damage now. Looks like we are putting it on the Dreepy on the bench. Okay.
And that makes sense. And so
Yeah.
Rachel's going to go down to 2 prizes remaining.
Two prizes left.
Yes.
And wondering what Kev's going to put down here. I'm thinking maybe that Charmeleon's the one that comes up here. But he's kind of thinking it through here. I mean, Rachel's got a very commanding board right now. 2 Grimmsnarls.
So the one thing that is in Kevin's advantage is now Charizard is doing 300 damage.
Yeah.
So Kevin can countercatcher up that Grimmsnarl on the bench, knock it out. The Grimmsnarl on the active has continued to take damage, so it'll be much easier for Kevin to clean up a Grimmsnarl knockout and take a multi-prize turn with Dragapult to follow a Charizard knockout if Kevin can't get all of that down this turn.
Yeah, and I do notice, I think he does have Iono in hand as well, which could also be very beneficial here. So if he's able to kind of get the Charizard in play, he's also able to disrupt Rachel's hand as well. One of the big disadvantages with this deck is it actually doesn't have any sort of, onboard draw on there. So, if the deck isn't able to kind of draw you out of where you're at currently, could be difficult to kind of close out games that way.
Kenneth, you are right. Getting rid of
Yes.
the Devo on Rachel's end is a big deal and would be a bigger deal if she wasn't kicking Kevin's butt so bad
Yes,
right now.
definitely.
And to your point, that's the issue in this matchup for Dragapult is Dracloak's a great draw engine, but it only has 90 HP,
Yeah.
which means it is continually working its way towards death due to that Frostlass and then the snipes from Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, so this Iona's kind of coming out here. Hopefully we're going to draw into that Charizard. And one thing that I'm kind of hoping is that, I know you're kind of mentioning, Dan, earlier to counter catcher the Grimmsnarl on the bench. I kind of want to see the one in the active get knocked out first.
Ooh, why do you say that?
Just because with the double Monkey Dory, there's more damage to be kind of moved around.
So that is true. I think for me, and you may be right, honestly, I'm trying to track efficiency of knockouts.
Yeah.
It will be very, very hard for Kevin to attack with a Dragapult EX this turn.
Definitely.
So if we're only able to attack with a Charizard, we do not gain a ton of advantage from hitting into this Grimmsnarl with
Yeah.
Charizard.
Absolutely.
So we really want to clean up the lower damaged one so that there's more flexibility for Kevin to work with Dragapult to follow. But clearing all this damage from the board isn't exactly bad either.
Yeah, definitely. So does have the Night Stretcher in hand. I was thinking that could be potential to grab a Dracloak from the discard pile. Maybe see if we can kind of draw into that Charizard. The other thing I was kind of seeing is we also have the rare candy as well. So not many other options here for...
Origami, the Sudowoodo is
Yes.
very sus. And I don't know how much Expanded you played, but Sudowoodo is just sus in general. So we see the Charizard.
So it's like that play I was just saying. You grab the Dracloak, hopefully you draw into it, and it looks like that that Charizard's coming into play. Infernal Rain's going to come out here
And we
and put the energies into play.
and we should have at least two in deck.
Yep, there's one in hand.
Okay, so the one in hand, it's not ideally where you want it, but still, we are going to be able to get a knockout here. And so then, Brian, do you think Kevin takes out the active or the bench?
It's kind of like what I was saying. The active is what I think is the optimal one here, but I think just being able to take a knockout on either one is a good play here.
And there is an advantage where if we do knock out the active, any Charizard can still clean up the bench one when it comes into attack.
Exactly.
So the one, and I think this is advantageous, this Charizard's going to get hit into no matter what. So yeah, if you're able to clear more of the damage away so the Monkey Dories are less effective, you may buy yourself enough time.
Yeah, and it's so tough here too because this Dracloak is going to go to 4 damage counters after this turn, and the Monkey Dory is going to be able to move a lot of that damage as well. So I don't think this Dracloak on the bench is going to be able to survive the next turn as well. And Kev's doesn't have his Monkey Dory anywhere to be seen as well. Well, he's got it in hand, but no Luminous.
And that is a big deal because I think if Kevin was able to move some of this damage, this game could be a lot easier for him.
Much easier, definitely.
All right, so we'll see the knockout on the Grimmsnarl.
Yeah.
Kevin takes 2 prizes. Dan notably remembers to note that Kevin took 2 prizes. And then we see the Grimmsnarl come active.
Yes, so those damage counters are kind of moving around now. Oh, boss.
And that's just going to do the game right there.
Yep.
So Rachel takes down Kevin. Charizard, Dragapult, does not stand up to the test. But we do have another game. And we have another Charizard. And we have Charizard Pidgeot EX versus Raging Bolt. And, boy, how's this matchup looking right now?
Yeah, this matchup's also an interesting one as well, because historically, Charizard's had a good matchup into Raging Bolt, just because after the first 2 prizes are kind of taken, Charizard's able to generally knock out everything on the board. And Raging Bolt typically doesn't really play stuff like the E-Switch or anything like that to take advantage of the Ogre Pawns to be able to knock out those Charizards. So those Ogre Pawns are typically very easy targets, 2 prize targets for Charizard to kind of knock out. But at the same time, as soon as Raging Bolt's able to get all those energies onto the board, it's able to take any sort of knockout, like in this instance here, that Eli's going to be able to take.
And that is super problematic for Sam, because it looks like Eli is going down to 1 prize remaining, and Sam, notably, has not taken a prize yet.
Definitely. So we'll see what Sam's able to do here. Counter Catcher was just drawn. Arvin is in hand here as well. So the Artisan comes down, breaking the area 0 under depths, and now bringing Eli's board down to 5 on the bench. Flip the script, grabs a couple cards here.
And I mean, those are good cards, but
They
really,
are.
what Sam needs to see is a Charizard EX, a
Yeah.
Gust on Fezandipity, and Iono. because if Eli's able to Teal Dance and attach, like Sam just loses.
Yeah, so it's not looking like it's very good just because he needs so many pieces, but also needs that Iono to kind of do everything as well.
100%. And I believe one of those Ogre Pawns on the bench has 2 energy already.
Yeah, so that provides a lot of pressure as well on Eli's side of the board because as soon as he gets one more Teal Dance in play, it's going to be able to knock out that Charizard that's going to be knocking out. And usually in these instances, Charizard in the past would use something like Radiant Charizard to kind of force a one-prizer into this instance. And in this instance, the Chi-Yu kind of does that. But at the same time, now there's no one-prizer that can really be put into here because Eli is going to be able to just knock out anything and win the game.
And also, having one prize remaining, doesn't matter what Sam throws up. We're going to be in a bad spot.
Exactly.
So, it was a pretty good round. Some interesting games.
Yeah, interesting decks being played too. It's cool seeing Charizard kind of come back.
For sure. Yeah. Team Nerd Rage Gaming did at least went 50-50 in that round. So Kevin and Eli both on the team. Eli won. Kevin did not.
Yeah, he didn't win, but valiant effort.
That is true. So, Brian, I almost said Kevin, but you're Brian. So, we did see that Charizard Dragapult, and this is a deck that I wanted to throw up here for us once I figure it out. But, let's go to booth because I'm still figuring this all out.
For sure.
That is not the booth. All right, whatever. We're working on it. But regardless, so Brian, tell us about this Charizard EX.
Which one, the Pzard?
Or excuse me, the Pzard.
Yeah, yes. Pzard's a cool deck. I mean, both of us have been talking about this deck. It's a deck that both of us really like, just because of the flexibility that it's able to kind of provide, and just because you have a lot of options. The Dragapult helps you spread the damage counters, helps you in the early game, kind of board wipe, and then the Charizard EX, as well as being able to accelerate those energies to the Dragapult into itself, is a very, very, very good late game attacker. And Charizard's been kind of pushed away out of the format as of recent, but it's kind of making a slow comeback. So it's definitely cool to see that cards like these are able to kind of have a small resurgence in the meta when being away for a while. Dance here.
No, and I agree. It's a really, really interesting deck, and it's cool to see something that involves kind of these different approaches be successful. So as I'm pulling up this list, I mean, Brian, what you didn't go to NAIC, right?
I did not, no.
So what would you have played if you had gone?
If I would have gone, part of me says I would have played Gardevoir, but I think I would have put it down. I probably would have played Raging Bolt.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that life. Yeah. It is pretty good deck.
Yeah, if you were to go, what do you think you would have played?
Honestly, it very well may have been Dragapult Charizard.
Yeah.
Because I think that deck is just so good. And all right, here, let's actually take a look. So this is the list that Makani Tran, Ryan Antonucci played to a top 16 in NAIC. Hi, Eli. And John Wangard, notably, obviously way more important, played to win the Energy Invitational on Sunday.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, Brian, tell us a bit about, were you watching the stream on Sunday?
I was watching here and there. I did work that weekend. And as a night shift nurse, I don't really get too much time on the weekends when I work. So, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch too much.
Well, then, let me tell you guys a little bit. So, if you weren't here to watch, we'd love to have you next time, and thank you for being here now. But John talked a little bit about this deck, and especially the mirror match into those, or mirror-ish match into those Stage 2 decks. He said that this is a deck where you can afford to be very patient. Budu is definitely your friend. You set up a draw engine, and Omnipoke, great channel, by the way, check them out. He has made this comment about Charizard in that it is inevitable. And I think that is part of the big draw for this deck, is that you have a very strong attacker, you have a ability to spread and take multiple knockouts, and then you also have this dude that has 330 HP that can murder anything on your opponent's board at some point in the game. Dude, that's wild.
Yeah, definitely. And when you're pairing that with what a lot of people are saying is the big bad in the room with Dragapult, with that amazing draw engine, it's a really big deck to kind of have to fear.
It is. It's terrifying. And one of my favorite Pokemon of all time is Dragapult. I mentioned Dragapult VMAX was awesome to play with. Dragapult both in Regidrago, Twilight Masquerade, in this format now too. Like, it's just such a strong card.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Phantom Dive is just a really good attack. I mean, people were thinking that the energy cost was kind of like a difficult hurdle to kind of get by, but I mean, people are finding their ways around it.
They are. And so, Brian, let me ask you, because we were here on Sunday and we were talking a bit about NAIC stuff,
Yeah.
but we've got a little time, and I haven't heard your thoughts yet on post NAIC. Like, what were the big decks that you saw that you really loved and thought would be good to talk about?
Dragapult. Dragapult.
All right, beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful.
Dragapult.
So, which Pult do you want?
I like the Toadpult a lot. I don't know if you
Toadpult.
have the Toadpult.
Brian, of course I have the
Yeah.
Toadpult. And here we have Toadpult.
Yeah, so the Toadpult was crazy. Just because, I think Tord was mentioning that he kind of went back to kind of his roots of like just hyper consistent. You can kind of see that with the supporter count: 4 research, 4 Iono, 4 boss, 3 Brock scouting, 4 Poffin, 4 Ultra Ball. There's a lot of consistency in the ball search and a lot of consistency in the line of the Dragapult line. So 4-4-3. There's just a lot to kind of work around with in the early game, just to make sure that you're able to play the game, which is the most important part. Being able to have a lot of different energy types as well. The basics like the fire and the psychic, the Neo upper and the luminous energy also really help here as well. And then the Maractus was actually a very interesting tech choice to be able to kind of help your board state out if you were notably falling behind and wanted to kind of stall the game out a little bit.
100%. So this is actually, I kind of not stole, it was on his Discord,
Yeah.
but I stole Tord's list for Sevilla a couple months ago. And honestly, it's not that different from what you see in front of you. The Maractus is certainly a new inclusion. Honestly, that's about it.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that shifted. So for me, because I'm aggressive, I cut some of the extra pieces in here and put a 2-2-1 Dust Noir line in. Because Dust Noir, I still think, and I could be wrong, is just way too strong to not play with this deck. Because I think pure Dragapult probably is very good into a lot of decks, but into the big scary in the room in Gardevoir, I don't. Unless you're Tord, you don't beat Guardy with this deck.
Yeah, it's very tough too. And just because, Gardevoir has slowly and steadily became more consistent throughout the format just because it plays the TM Evos and all of that now, along with the really high supporter counts. But it's still a really rough matchup that you kind of have to work around, and being able to have that Dustour line to kind of help you get a quicker advantage is very helpful to have.
Agreed. And I think the Dustour also, which there's a Psyduck coming out in a couple sets. I think it's going to be a big deal. But not only does placing the damage counters matter so much, but the ability to manipulate the prizes on the board is wild. Because being able to Dusclops, Countercatcher, and eliminate someone's like setup attackers that's crazy, man.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the Dusclops, a lot of people were kind of like underrating the Dusclops a little bit. When it initially came out, people are just like, oh, well, if you could just rare candy into Dusknoir and just take the big knockout, you're kind of doing fine here. But the Dusclops being able to put the 50 damage and open up the countercatcher angle, it's really, really helpful.
Agreed. And so I'm going to throw up another deck that's kind of in the similar vein, and that's this Grimmsnarl that Piper Lapine played. Sorry, Piper. But played and got top 8 at NAIC. And I also love, those of you who are watching, I love your thoughts on this. I think this is a very clean, consistent deck. And honestly, the only card that's like weird I use in heavy air quotes is Energy Search instead of Vessel.
Yeah.
But man, this deck seems like it just does the thing, even if it has a ton of different pieces.
Yeah, the cool thing about this deck too is being able to show like a top 8 finish, the first format that the deck is legal, it really shows how strong that the archetype is. Which is very impressive on Piper's side as well, just because, to be able to prepare a very consistent list and one that's able to, achieve this finish is really huge.
It is. And Piper's obviously absolutely incredible player. She was just interviewed on Beach Court podcast, I believe. So check out Beach Court. Maddox and Eric are awesome people.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a deck that we kind of thought was going to kill Guardy when it came into the format.
It still kind of does a little bit.
Well, so yes and no.
Yes
so
and no.
Bradner, who notably won NAIC with Guardy, pretty good, and that's a very cool list we can look at later.
Yeah.
Bradner actually beat most of the Grimmsnarls he played.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that was the TM Energize that his crew played. And a lot of people were wondering, well, what does that TM Energize really do? And what it does is it powers up Monkey Dory faster than pretty much anybody can normally power it up.
Yes, and I know we're bouncing around a little bit, but
Yeah.
please bear with us, people. But this is the championship deck, and this is such a cool build of Guardy. Honestly, the only time I'd use Turbo Energize is in GLC that we were just playing earlier. So to see it in a championship winning list in Gardevoir of all things that already has energy acceleration, man, this is just cool.
It is, absolutely. Yeah, it's cool just because you see the E-Switch, you see the Turbo Energize. I mean, only one counter catcher, but plays boss's orders instead. So there's a lot of really cool tools that this deck can kind of do, and decides to take away the Drifloon. Yeah, so I think this is kind of like older iterations of Gardevoir that were kind of played early into the prismatic format that were playing heavy Monkey Dory counts and no Drifloon Charm.
Well, so, and this is, I think, the epitome of a late stage format deck.
Yep.
So even though we just had a new set release for this tournament, like we've slowly progressed through adding more and more monkeys and dark energy to every single deck. And I remember there were a few people when Monkey Dory first came out that said like, it's cool, but when are you going to spend an attachment on it? And I think we underestimated how slow the format was going to get, that you have multiple turns to attach energy to Monkey Dories. And then when you can manipulate that damage, like, holy, we see the impact it has. Every single deck in top 4 of NAIC played at least 2 Monkey Dory.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy to see, too, how Pokemon is actually able to forcibly slow down the format with the cards that are printed. Because I remember when I first started playing, if you didn't go first and if you missed your attachment on your Arceus, you pretty much lose the game.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to be fair, Arceus was still a wild improvement on the format before that.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of complaints about creatures and some of the card designs at times. And Jake Gearhart, you missed your opportunity to complain more. But they've done a really good job slowing down the format and having it be a relatively high skill, lots of decision-making format.
Yeah, it's cool too because now it's like there are multiple decks in the format that want to go first, want to go second. You know, there's it's not like always like, oh man, if I don't go first and I don't get my attachment for turn, or if I don't go second and I miss my supporter for turn, I automatically kind of lose the game here.
Right.
So it's cool because when these really high impact printings kind of go into effect, it really does warp the format. And kind of it shows in our tournament placements here. And
it does.
Yeah, the same thing can kind of be said about like, when Iono was printed. Or when Pheasantipity was printed. There's a lot of these comeback cards that get printed. Or Countercatcher. Countercatcher really opened up a lot of doors for a lot of comeback decks as well. I mean, like, Countercatcher was the reason why Snorlax all kind of really popped off and kind of got its thing going too. So
well, to be fair, Countercatcher also helped Guardy enormously and Lost Zone Tina. Thank you very much.
There we go.
But yeah, a lot of times what we'll see in sets is that it's not an archetype coming out of the set that's the big defining feature. Sometimes it is.
Yeah.
But more often than not, it's those accentuating pieces like Prismatic, whatever it is. I don't know. I hate that set. Budu.
Yeah,
Budu is an absolute format game Pokemon changing thing, and we get to see that from a mini set that didn't actually like change all that much.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, and so I'm going to get the next set up, next round up here.
Yep.
And unfortunately, when we have these lovely new sets or these new rounds, and we don't have deck lists, we're not really sure what it is, but.
Yeah.
We do know that we have Leo, who also qualified for our Invitational, versus Wonjun, who I think he was pretty close, but did not quite qualify.
Yeah, but, he's a local that's been coming around for a lot of these events as well, so hopefully gets another opportunity to qualify during this next league season as well.
Yes, and he is a great player. He's been improving every single week, and I don't think there's more than one player or any players here where I sit down and think I have a free win. All of these rounds are terrifying every time.
You got to earn it.
Yes, 100%. All right, and so we are going to see this game get set up. Brian, talk us through these turns as they kick it off here.
Yeah, so it's going to see who's going to be going first, and then we'll kind of talk about the the deck kind of thing here. Should we let them get started?
Yes, we should.
Yeah, if you want to let them know.
I can do that.
Yes, and I guess talk about Goldengo a little bit here first. I mean, it's a deck that draws a million cards. Fist Bump comes through, and ooh, you see a Toadscruel in the active at the moment, and
So it looks like we were right about Grimmsnarl. We were not right about Leo because we are absolutely playing Toads.
The Toadscruel
The
deck.
Toads. And man, is this deck cool, Brian.
Yeah, it's a cool deck. Shout out to Ray Chen. Ray Chen's the GOAT. Ray Chen played 2 events this season and got her Worlds invite.
Which is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
All right, so Brian, do you want to talk about Toadscruel or Grimmsnarl?
I'll talk about Toadscruel. Toadscruel's
Beautiful.
cool just because, the Mycelium.
Mycelium.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mycelium.
that. We'll try to read it later, but yes, carry on.
That the ability is really strong because, the grass Pokemon that have energy on them are they're like immune to effects of attacks. So, Dragapult damage counters aren't able to kind of go on there.
Protective Mycelium.
Yeah, protective Mycelium. Yeah, so being able to be protected by those Dragapult damage counters is really important here, just because have 60 HP Pokemon, and then the Teal Mask Ogerpon also allows those energies to be accelerated, and then Energy Switch kind of moves them around, and then the Colony Rush attack does 80 damage base, and then I think 40 damage extra for each Pokemon on the bench that has a grass energy attached to it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it does not matter what the type of Pokemon is on the bench or anything. Only matters is that if it has an energy attached. And so one of the other key pieces of this deck is that bug catching set, which
bug catching set, crazy card.
It's Great Ball, but double and for energy.
Yeah, so you get a Pokemon and an energy after looking at the top 7.
Top 7, you get to 2 in any combination of grass Pokemon and grass energy.
Yeah, so now we see, 2 of these Ogerpons coming down here, being able to put energy down here. A Toadscruel EX is in play is active here as well, or in the hand. Looks like it might get squawked away here, but the Area 0 is really what makes this deck so strong, is because now you have more options of Pokemon to put onto the bench and increase your damage numbers.
And so, interesting decision to not put down that Mew EX. I think I actually agree with it, though, because knowing you're playing into a Frostlass deck, anything you put down is going to be absorbing damage over time. And you've already got 2 Ogerpons, you've got a Squawkabilly, and that Mew EX being weak to Dark 2 is just such a liability, maybe more so than an advantage in the matchup.
Yeah, definitely. So that's why it's very important that the Mew EX is just not going to enter play at all, just because, I mean, it's a huge liability. It's going to get knocked out pretty much right away. So looking at Wonju's side here is going to be putting down the Badoo and is looking at the Shaman here as well. But I think we're going to kind of just go with the Impidimp instead and hopefully force up the Badoo here.
And main reason for that is you're not allowed to get Shaman off of Buddy Paw.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
But you're right. So getting out the Badoo, trying to item lock Leo, that protective Mycelium does not block item lock because that effect is on the player, not anything else. Yep. But it is it's going to try to slow Leo down. But to be honest, Leo's deck is so straightforward and simple that, man, it's going to be hard to slow.
Yeah, definitely is, just because, it's what you were saying, Dan. It's very simple. So, I mean, 2 manual attachments, you just do a simple stage 1 evolution. The Ogerpons are very easy to power up and get into play as well. So those energies are going to be very effective and be put into play very easily as well.
Agreed. And so we are seeing that attachment to the Snorunt and the active. And I gotta imagine we just ripped the research right here.
Yeah, or the Iono, I think, is probably what we are going to play here. And oh yeah, maybe research or Iono. We have some options, but looks like we're going with the Iono here.
So I don't mind the Iono, but to be honest, I kind of like to see the research.
Yeah, I would have too, just because being able to see the extra cards would be very effective here. And then, you're putting some of those, you're putting some of the, like, the damage or some of the energies into the discard as well, which synergizes really well with the Night Stretcher card.
Exactly. And it's such a good way to continue to pull energy back in and continue to play the game. And so on Wonjun's end now, we got the Artisan down, which is great because it knocks off that, what is it? Excuse
The
me,
Area 0.
Area
Yeah.
0. And we get another Impidimp down, which is really important. So, Brian, there is one major issue that Wonjun has going into this matchup.
Yes. So the major issue is that Grimmsnarl is weak to grass.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So it's going to be quite the uphill battle for him to be able to take out all of these Toadscruel EXs.
But other question for you, Brian. Why do you think he didn't get out another Impidimp?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think wanting to get put more emphasis on the Monkey Dory is, I guess, what Wonjun was thinking of doing here. But I think the more important thing that I'm kind of thinking about is that secret box being able to lead to that play we saw Rachel do last turn, where she was able to get the Spike Moon Stadium out and accelerate that. Grimmsnarl into play.
100%. Yes. And so this is actually, though, a huge deal for Wonjun because there is a chance for him, it's unlikely, but to clear the Toadstools from the board.
Yeah, and being able to do that would would give him such a big advantage here.
It would. I think what Wonjun's really going to want to do is to actually, and we are going to retreat into a Teal Mask Ogre Pawn.
I like this play too, just because now the Ogre Pawn's not going to be able to be knocked out this next turn because, I mean, there's no Frost Lash, there's no damage on 1G's board to be moved around, and just be able to take the really easy knockout with the Myriad Leaf Shower here, and provides a lot of pressure here now because now if this Grimmsnarl comes into play, it also gets knocked out by the Ogre Pawn as well. So very heads-up play here from Leo to be able to play around the item lock and kind of power up those Ogre Pawns to be the main attackers to get through the early game.
And to your point, we can get off that Grimmsnarl play, but I don't know if we want to right now.
Yeah, I don't think we want to either. Yeah, I mean, the secret box is super powerful here and allows us to do a lot, but I don't know. I don't think we want to, do that right now. Yeah.
And so that's really the issue is that, yes, the secret box does allow a lot. But even if Wonjun's able to pull off every play they want to pull off, I don't know if the plays they have available are very good right now.
Yeah, and I think it shows too. Like, I mean, the second Monkey Dory is not really doing much here. Maybe if the Impidimp was here, at least we can kind of set up the Grimmsnarl line a little bit slower and see if the item lock could kind of force some pressure here.
So, and I do agree with that, but looking at the use of that Artisan, my guess is the other two Impidimp are prized.
Yeah, could be.
Because we've had a lot of opportunities to search and pull stuff out of the deck and have not found one, so...
Yeah, no, there's some Impidimps there, I see.
I think those are Morgrim.
Oh, are they Morgrims? Okay.
And also, I believe they have the fancy Art of Frostlass, which makes it look like a Dark-type Pokemon. And Boxy, I would love to see Sander win Worlds. That man is so deserving.
Yeah, definitely. And did you see that video, that crazy Durant video?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yes.
The crazy deck out video on Twitter.
So, Sander posted a video a couple weeks ago of playing against a Charizard deck with his crazy mill thing.
Yeah.
Charizard had 17 cards left in deck. And Sander ended up winning by deck out on that same turn. And people, that is crazy.
Yeah. I know, Twitter went nuts for that. I remember watching that entire video and was just like, how is this happening?
I was flabbergasted.
Yeah.
And I don't use that word very often, but I was flabbergasted.
Definitely.
All right, so then for Wonjun's side, we have the Spike Move, we have a rescue board, research for the supporter, and just picking which item he wants to use. And I mean, I wouldn't mind getting, if you can't get another Impidimp, another Snow Runt out. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I kind of like that as well, just because if you're able to set up those Frostlass, the Frostlass will be able to get the damage counters on the board.
And that, I think, is a huge deal. So Leo can one-shot the Grimmsnarl EXs. However, all of his dudes are low HP 2-prizers.
Yeah.
And so there's a pretty good advantage that Wonjun has is if he can steal a little bit of time, it's going to be hard for Leo to kind of build up enough, advance his game state enough where Wonjun can't just sweep.
Yeah, it's getting a little tough here. I mean, credit to Wanjun. He definitely sequenced out what he kind of wanted to do very well to where he was able to get to no cards in hand and play the research to rip 7 new ones. But I don't know if it's really enough here. I mean, the bench is very clogged up here with just a bunch of Monkey Dories with no energies on them.
And that's
Yeah.
not great, but I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't have... Wait, is that an Impidimp in
Yeah,
hand?
there are other
What?
Impidimps here.
What? I have feedback.
Yes.
Wonjun, if you watch this, I apologize, but I have feedback. Why do you think they didn't get down another one?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I feel like it's very unsafe to just have one on the board here because that's your main attacker. That's going to be the thing doing the most damage.
Well, the other question I have is, why do we have 3 monkeys?
Yeah, 3 monkeys. That's what I'm saying. 3 monkeys with like barely energies in play here as well. And it's not going to be able to take advantage of anything because there's no damage counters being kind of built up here.
So I will say that's something I'm trying to play Gardevoir more because apparently it's getting freaking better as more sets come out too. But one of the biggest things to manage is how many monkeys and when do you use them. So in this situation, sure, you can have a bunch of monkeys on your board, but like you aren't using any Adrenabrain. So is it not better to set up a board of either attackers or disruption cards?
Yeah, and I feel like it is much better just because even though you're able to quickly, put more Pokemon into, those monkeys with the energies to play with stuff like the E-Switch, if you don't have the energies on the board to begin with, then it's not much you can really do.
Or if you don't have damage counters on the board.
Yeah.
And Leo has been doing very, very well in only taking one-shots, not trying to either hit into anything, set up multi-prize turns, and just saying like, yeah, dude, you got a bunch of monkeys, but there's no damage for you to work with.
Yeah, I know. So, gets the Earthen Vessel down, takes away the Devo to get one of those Monkey Dories powered up here. I'm wondering if that Spike move is going to come down anytime soon.
So the spike move did come down.
Oh,
It is
good.
on the board. And actually,
Yeah.
this is a turn where I would not mind. Are we at 4 or 3 prizes on Leo's end? I think we're at 4.
He's at 4.
So this is a time where actually I would like to see the hit with Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, since Wanjun's behind on prizes anyways, being able to use that Defiance Band will take the knockout,
Yes.
which is good.
And I
Yeah.
think it's worthwhile because you're going to be able to reach for a one-shot and set up one of those baby toads to get knocked out by follow-up Monkey Dory damage or something. This is a good time. And we do have a Frostlass hit the board, so now the game plan's starting to come together.
Yeah, so game plan's starting to come together. That Ogerpon on the bench is going to start taking some damage. Same with that Squawkabilly. I think that Squawkabilly is going to be the main out that's going to give Wanjun a chance to win this game as well because, the Grimmsnarl is going to be able to take a clean knockout on that Pokemon.
Which is a big deal. And I would like to not see that Grimmsnarl until the other Impidimp is down on the board. But do you think there's a reason we didn't bench the other Impidimp?
Before playing the research? I don't know, but I feel like we should have put that Impidimp down just because now it would have been able to set up a follow-up attacker, and that would have been, key to kind of follow-up attacks in the future here.
And I think that's exactly my thought. Sure, we don't want to put multiple Grimmsnarl EX down, but we're not. We're putting down a Grimmsnarl and an Impidimp, so that way we have a follow-up attack because if Wonjun's able to kind of set up an efficient enough board here, we could actually win next turn with another attack.
Yeah, definitely. But it's not looking like we're really doing that here in the moment just because we don't have that follow-up attacker here. So it looks like we're just going to be taking the knockout here, setting up that Toadscruel for more damage, and puts the damage on the Squawkabilly, which is kind of interesting.
That is. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't really totally agree with it because I feel like the Squawkabilly is going to get knocked out clean anyways. But we'll kind of see what happens from here.
I don't mind it if the idea is that you're going to win by knocking out Teal Mask Ogerpon and then Squawk.
Yeah.
Because then if that is the case, then you could justify Monkey 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 onto Squawk and then another Shadow Bullet to clean it up.
Yeah.
But I also don't know if we're going to have enough damage on the board to go with that line.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And it's like this Ogerpon's already powered up here as well. It's going to be able to take this knockout. I mean, does this Grimmsnarl list play like something like Ursaluna?
Most of them do not.
Yeah. And I feel like, that would be one of the only outs to be able to keep Wanjun in the game.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
there is one more line for Wonjun that we could see here, and that is if Leo maybe overextends is the wrong word, but doesn't set up a good way to efficiently like retreat or clear out multiple Pokemon on the bench, Wonjun could gust up that Toadscruel, use Budu, item lock it, and then that Frostlass damage is going to start stacking very, very impactfully.
Yeah, definitely.
But we'll see, and we see the Pheasantipity. I mean, Leo's
Yeah,
Leo's just got everything he wants.
yeah, definitely. All he really needs now is if he has like the Area 0, that'd really open up a lot more outs. But
It
also has the
would.
Prime Catcher too, so a lot of options here.
Now, granted, I don't think he really wants a Prime Catcher or
No,
anything.
no, but for the following turns, like if Wonjun's gonna try to do like some sort of stall play, it'll be able to kind of get him out of that little jam.
Yes, and that makes complete sense. So having that mobility is a big deal. So then, what is Leo's like prize map here?
Yeah, so the prize map here is just to be able to take out this Grimmsnarl here, and that's gonna put Wonjun a couple turns behind here, and hopefully from there, just take out some knockouts with the on the Monkey Dories. Just because I don't think there's any psychic energy that are played here, so I don't think there's gonna be any sort of mind bend shenanigans kind of going on.
And Wonjun's list could be weird, but in general, yes, you're right. So Grimmsnarl typically does not play anything other than the Dark Energy, since you don't need it for attackers, and you only need Dark for Monkey Dory's ability.
Yeah, so kind of see what we grab here. Countercatcher is available.
And so here's the interesting thing.
Yeah,
If we had gotten Frostlass down one turn earlier, and we had accelerated to another Impidimp, we could win the game this turn.
yeah, we definitely could. I see some. There's some Monkey Dory shenanigans that could happen here too.
There are.
Yeah, but oh man,
Now, granted, if we can get an Impidimp and a Budu down, we still very much have a win condition for Wonjun.
yeah. And Jolly's saying Toadscruel's cool, but having more fun with Yanmega.
Jolly, I am glad you are having fun with Yanmega, because
Yeah.
I played like 4 games and I had
Yeah.
0 fun with Yanmega.
I know it's funny though because it's kind of like what Jolly's talking about with the Iron Hands potential, but it's not really the greatest deck out there.
You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's tier A,
Yeah.
but it's not tier F.
Yeah, it's a playable deck.
It is. Well, let's
Yeah.
not get crazy. It is a functioning deck. I will give
Functioning.
you that. Yes.
Functioning, absolutely.
All right, so then why don't we see an Impidimp coming down?
I don't know. Maybe it'll come down now that we can kind of put some of those Grimmsnarl pieces back into the deck.
I imagine we will, but we're also down a lot of we're down a lot of stuff here,
Yeah,
Brian.
there's a lot of stuff that we've kind of discarded here. And the Super Rod's just putting down, grabbing the Grimmsnarl and 2 energies. That's not an Impidimp. There we go.
Okay, and so we are doing Impidimp Energy Grimmsnarl?
Oh,
I think so. Okay.
and then hopefully be able to search out with the Spike Muth Stadium.
Agreed. And actually, I didn't even play Dun-Duns in
Yeah.
Yanmega. I'm glad that's working, Jolly. Again, anytime. So I will say, if Yanmega only required 3 energy to attack,
Yeah,
I'd be all about it. But the 4th energy means you still need a manual attachment in order to do that. And
yeah.
what is it? 210 for 4 energy is not what you'd
Not-
call efficient.
Yeah, it's not very efficient. There's a lot of Pokemon that do more damage for less energy.
Yes. All right. So then, Brian, how does Wonjun win this game?
Wonjun needs to survive. That's for sure.
It's a key first
Yeah.
step.
I'm thinking that maybe Wonjun could kind of cheese out one prize here by moving all those Monkey Dory damage counters to knock out one of the Toadschools. That could be a potential play.
So it is, but I don't think you
Yeah.
want to, because you're
Yeah.
on even prizes. So what I would actually love to see is, can you countercatcher up the Squawkabilly EX
Yeah.
and then set up Monkey Dory on that and then kind of chill for a moment?
Yeah, that could be also an option as well.
But also, if we're able to fling all of this damage onto Squawk or something with the monkeys, we're still set up for a win next turn with a single Shadow Bullet.
Yeah, definitely. So it looks like we're moving all of the damage counters here. I wonder where we're putting it though.
I mean, I gotta imagine it goes on the Squawk, right?
Yeah. Yep, puts it on the Squawk.
All right.
And then we probably follow up here. There is no counter catcher here.
No, but there is an Ultra Ball and Rare
Yeah.
Candy in hand. And so all of a sudden, Wonchun's back in the saddle.
Yeah, definitely.
And
This whole board wipe thing could actually happen.
and Leo's hand is Teal Mask Ogerpon, Energy Switch, nothing. We do attack. Leo goes down to 1 prize remaining, but if Wonchun is able to attack here, he just wins.
Yeah. Now it just really depends on how many energy do we have left in the deck.
As long as we have 1, we're fine.
Yeah.
So does Wonchun see the play?
I don't know. I mean, Spike Me could definitely help him see if he has it or not.
So the other option too is we have an Arven in hand. We could go and get a Night Stretcher and get the last energy
Yeah,
out.
that could be what kind of changes this because I don't see another energy here.
There is a Night Stretcher
There
though,
is a Night
so
Stretcher.
I think Wonchun's piecing it together. I'm trying to talk
Yeah.
very quietly so I don't tell him what to do,
Yeah.
but do it.
Yeah, but it's important though because I think we need to put that energy back into the deck because he needs to attach for turn still.
You're right, because he does not have any energy in
Yeah,
the deck.
unless there's like an E-switch or something like that. Because, I mean, he needs to put that energy back in the deck. That's what's really important here.
That is. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, drawing the 1 dark energy in the deck off
Yeah.
of that Iono.
Oh, that's so tough. And
This
now,
is.
yeah, so now it's a little more difficult here because I think the super rod was already used here, and that's one of those things where it's like maybe if we put that Impidimp a little bit down a little bit earlier, we would have been able to put that extra energy back with the super rod.
And so that's exactly it. If we had accelerated to that Impidimp originally when we evolved to Grimmsnarl, we've already won the game a turn or 2 ago.
Yeah.
But again, Wonchun, I don't mean to hit on you.
Yeah.
This is why we watch these games, so we see different ways to win. And there is still a line for Wonchun if we're able to stall a card or something, but that is looking sketchier
Yeah.
by the moment.
So grabs the counter catcher out of here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so Wonchun deciding playing Arven is tough too, because then we're not drawing any more cards.
Yeah, we aren't. Unfortunately. This is so tough. I don't see like an E-switch or anything like that.
No, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, like, we can try to stall up something, but, well,
Yeah, this is tough. Unless we decide to maybe just rare candy. Oh, but even if we do that and try to just push up the Grimmsnarl, it doesn't really do much.
it doesn't. And this
Yeah.
is so tough because if we even had a single energy, this game would be over.
Yeah.
So, Brian, is there anything you would have liked to see Wonchun do earlier outside of just benching the other Impidimp?
Yeah, I think that's really it. I mean, being able to do that and kind of, and that kind of leads into your super rod play, being able to put more energy back into the deck, because that's like a big thing with this deck is like if you don't have the energy, then it's not as helpful.
Agreed. And I
Yeah.
almost think we have to bring up the Toadscruel EX,
Yeah,
right?
I was thinking that too, just because you need to have something that is going to be a little bit more tougher to get out of the active here.
And so, with an energy attachment and an E switch, like Leo still wins the game.
Yeah, he still does. Yeah.
But we're not there yet. Well, actually, if we are doing 80 plus 40, yes, that would be enough. So we can knock out the Squawk, but I don't think we want to.
Yeah.
And I think we do want to set it to 150, though, so that way it gets knocked
Yeah.
out by Frostlass. And Wonchun, I feel you, bro.
Yeah.
This is one of those decks that it's a lot of thinking.
It's a lot of thinking. It's very tough.
And so, Brian, then, with this situation, what does Wonchun do?
Oh, what's going on here?
Oh, come on in.
Oh, but I think we're trying to figure something out here. Oh, so we're trying to figure out a little, I think a ruling thing here. But, oh, okay, so Dan's kind of fixing it up here for us. But, yeah, it's a very tough deck to play. Now that you're kind of seeing it, a lot of moving pieces here, a lot of monkey dory manipulation kind of going on here.
They were just saying that the dice got messed up.
Oh.
It was at 130.
Oh, okay.
That is right, Brian?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then the monkey dory damage would have gotten it there if needed.
Yes, and that is exactly the question of, was it knocked out so that way Leo should either be drawing cards or Wonjun should be drawing prizes, but the answer is no. We are just allowing it to get knocked out on its own via Frostlass.
Yep.
And that does not activate Pheasantipity.
Yeah, that's the big part, is that you want to be able to limit the amount of cards that Leo's going to be able to kind of draw here, but I think either way, he still kind of has it here.
He does, especially with Teal Mask Ogerpon in hand and an energy and an E-switch. That's just going to seal it up.
Definitely.
And I think he's just doing the math on whether or not this does close things out.
Yeah. Because how many energy does he have? Just one in hand?
He has one in hand, or two energy in hand, a Teal Mask Ogerpon, and an energy switch. And I believe it's 80 plus 40 per.
Yeah. I was thinking maybe you just add extra energy to the Ogerpon.
Oh, that definitely did it
Yeah.
then. We have two E-switch in hand. And yeah,
Yeah.
that's going to do it. And we see the knockout on Grimmsnarl. And that's going to close out the game. So Leo takes the game by knocking out that Grimmsnarl EX, goes to 2-0. And we've got another game, so we're going to jump straight over to it. But we have Raging Bolt, Eli again. Congratulations. Thanks for joining. Versus Ethan's Typhlosion.
Yeah, Ethan's Typhlosion, another interesting one. And this one's playing the Dragapult line for extra draw power here.
It is, and Ethan's with Drag Cloak has been kind of the primary way to build it, although we did see poor Rafal get cooked by Typhlosion Pidgeon EX at NEIC.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate, but still a cool opportunity that Rafal is able to make his stream debut during the event.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And also, Rafal played incredibly well that whole round. And just got cooked, unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately.
All right, so then Josh's side of the board, we do see two Cyndaquil. We see no Typhlosion, which, Brian, is a mandatory portion of this deck.
Yeah, and that kind of goes in... it's definitely a card you need along with the Ethan's Adventure, which... do you remember what that card does, Dan?
Yes, so Ethan's Adventure says, search your deck for 3 in any combination of Ethan's Pokemon and Fire Energy.
Okay.
So basically, you can go in, get 3 Cyndaquil, then get 3 Quilava, and then get 2 Typhlosion and a Fire Energy, and have a full board set up very, very easily.
Yep.
All right, and so I am just checking on something here. But yeah, so we see Josh kind of debating here with that Dracloak as the draw engine, trying to see if he can get an attack off. And Brian, it does not look like it right now.
I don't think it's going to be this turn. I'm thinking that Josh might just want to be able to just set up this turn and try to take a big knockout the next turn.
So I'm going to take a quick pause while Josh is thinking here. But for those who are watching, number one, thank you for joining us here. It's awesome to have you. And also, please follow the stream.
Yes.
If you're watching on YouTube, please like the stream. Please follow us. Subscribe to us on YouTube. You can subscribe to us to Twitch. I get paid nothing more either way, so I just listen to your heart. But we'd love to have you keep coming back to watch because we've got some really cool events coming up in July that we'll talk about after this round.
Yeah, definitely. So we got a lot planned here. And being able to kind of just build our stream community, just because we are doing this every Thursday, we just want to be able to have something consistent for everyone to kind of watch here every week.
Yeah, 100%. And so right now we are watching Josh try to possibly figure out how he can pull off a knockout here. And that research could go a long way if he hits Candy Typhlosion. And holy!
Never punished.
Did we hit it?
I think we did.
Well, I see the candy, but is there a Typhlosion?
I think I see the Typhlosion.
I can't tell if it's a Quilava or a Typhlosion.
But based off the border, it looked kind of like a Typhlosion. I don't know.
Oh, Josh said a word we're not allowed to say on streams. I guess is that it was not a Wait, is it?
Yeah, it is.
It is. So the downside is we don't have a Quilava.
We don't, but there are a few Ethan's Adventures in the discard already, and that's what the attack does, right? It's more damage based off Ethan's Adventures.
And that's the issue. I think we're hitting for 220, which is just short of the knockout here.
Oh, because it caps out at 280, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And so now the question is, does Eli have a response? And Eli has approximately 87 cards in hand. So I feel like we got a response, Brian.
Yeah, definitely. And this helps Eli so much here just because he needs to take 2 1-prizers out here. So being able to kind of just do that over the course of 2 turns is super helpful here.
So, Brian, is there a world where Josh does not attack with Typhlosion? And Boxy, we'll be very excited to have you back here. We miss
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. And oh, actually, I don't know. I don't know if there is like a benefit to just not attacking with a Typhlosion. I feel like that's like your main attacker at the end of the day, isn't it?
So it is, and like if it's going to get knocked back out, you need another rare candy to follow.
Yeah.
Like even if you do apply some aggression, if you know you're not taking a knockout, I gotta imagine you say, "Hey, I'm just going to evolve the bench or something."
Yeah, that could be a possibility as well. Yeah, definitely. And you know, something I also wonder too is like in the future around like building this deck. I mean, if you're going to be including that Dragapult line, what's stopping you from playing Luminous Energy and some Dragapults too?
A lack of desire to have fun
Yeah.
for one thing,
Yeah.
but I would honestly say the only issue is that you'd have to get ahead of attachments, and you
Yeah.
can't search out Luminous Energy with Ethan's Adventure.
That's true. Yeah.
But to your point, like, yeah, if we've already got most of the pieces and we can splash 1 or 2 more,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah, why not?
All right, so we do see the Night Stretcher. We see the attachment. Are we not going to see oh, Iona from Eli. Brian, what do you
Yeah.
think of that call?
I like it just because now that this Raging Bolt's kind of set up here, the Latios is going to be able to push the Raging Bolt on the bench to the active. And now Eli's going to be able to take this knockout with a fresh Raging Bolt here.
Which is a huge deal
Yeah.
since Josh, as we kind of saw, was not able to reach the 280.
Yeah.
And now he won't even be able to, like, Gust knock out with Cyndaquil or something.
Yeah, definitely. So Eli goes down to 1 prize here, and Josh is going to need another miracle. He's going to be needing another one of those rare candy plays if he wanted to be able to attack again, but looks like we're not going to be able to.
Counterpoint.
Yeah.
We just boss knockout with Quilava.
Yeah, it looks like that might be what we're doing here.
And so it's kind of going to depend on Eli not having an out to set up another attacker, which is possible.
It is, but I don't know, based off his hand size, he might be able to do it still.
I would tend to agree. And so
Yeah.
we do see the first recon directive. You only get to keep one of those.
Yeah.
Can you...
Could you
Oh, wait. Can
Go
you...
ahead.
I'm going to go yell at
Yeah.
him.
Oh no. Uh-oh. Yeah. All right, Dan will be fixing it. Hey, Roth.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just tagging in because Dan's
Yeah.
fixing stuff.
All right, we're trying to fix stuff here. How's the night going so far? What are you
Good.
What are you playing?
I'm playing Grimmsnarl.
Grimmsnarl. Very nice. Very nice. Were we able to fix it, Dan?
Yes.
Okay. Good. How's the deck feel?
Grimmsnarl?
Yeah.
Pretty good. I hit Mirror,
Oh,
which was
fun.
like weird.
Dude,
I don't-
Mirror's always weird
I
because it
have
feels like
no clue how to play it.
yeah, I feel like you're not supposed to punch anybody.
I did win.
Yeah.
He punched first, so it worked out.
Yeah.
And then I hit him, and then I devoted him. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay. And then I hit Ho-Oh Armor Rouge, which was cool. And I don't know if it's like a good matchup or a bad matchup, but I got 2 Frostlass out, so his whole board was just like melting because like he has like 6 abilities out at once. But also the game is happening.
Yeah.
And I do see them being very close. I mean, Eli's only
Yeah.
on 1 prize left.
Eli's on 1 prize left. Oh, passes it back. He passes it back. Oh,
Oh, does
Oh.
that not just win it?
I think.
Oh,
Oh, it
but
doesn't win it.
Josh has 3 prizes.
Yeah, he needs 2 knockouts.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, Eli cannot win with Phantom. He does need something to.
Yeah.
What is his hand looking like?
He's got counter catcher and I think Ultra Ball.
I mean, Ultra Ball could just get him Noctowl, and that might be
Yeah.
it. Assuming he has access to
Ooh,
it.
Crispin? Crispin?
Crispin would
Crispin?
potentially do it, but
I think he wants the
Um,
Noctowl instead. Noctowl
yeah.
will grab you a few more pieces.
yeah, it maybe just wants to be safe in case.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't have one of each energy in the discard,
Yeah.
then or does he actually have access? There's a Noctowl. I think he's just thinking of what to get with it.
I think he could just grab like
Ursaluna.
Ursaluna kind of just wins.
Oh wait, just Ultra Ball for Ursaluna.
Yeah, Ursaluna would still need 1 energy though because of the
No,
league
Josh does it.
headquarters.
Josh does it. Oh, League Headquarters.
League headquarters. Yeah.
Well, then, if Noctowl can get a
Yeah.
stadium and potentially a nest.
Oh
ball-
yeah, you could probably just get Stadium.
Oh, but I don't think he has a nest.
Yeah.
I mean, he could Stretcher and just try to draw a lot of cards
Yeah,
here.
good stretcher. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be going for the Pzard. He's also like kind of perusing still what to
Yeah.
get. He looks like he's basically out of supporters.
this
Honestly,
is tough.
I think you consider just getting Night
Ooh,
Stretcher.
the judge. He's looking at the judge here.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
you would need a lot here to
Yeah, he
like
would.
a Stretcher and Grass still wouldn't get it for you. I guess Judge just gives you the most cards. Good Judge can then draw you into the Stretcher. The
Yeah.
Stretcher can get you a Fez because just getting Stretcher could get you like Fez or Mew, but or Mew. Fez and Mew are
Yeah,
both in the
Fez.
deck.
They're all in the deck.
Oh, there's Sada
Oh,
though.
but Sada, but
Wait, why wouldn't he just get Sada and Stretcher then?
because he needed the stadium bump.
Oh, dang,
Yeah,
that is true. He's in a
because
he's
league
in a bit of
headquarters
a-
was league headquarters. Yeah, he needed
he's
the
trying to
stadium bump.
maximize his odds here. I
Yeah.
think.
I think the judge might be the right play here.
Yeah, I think Judge simply just draws you the most cards.
Yeah, I think so.
And then gives you the most pieces that can then let you. Because at the end of the day, Judge is giving you 4 cards. Sada's giving you 3. It looks like he's going in with like basically a 0 card hand. So he's just simply drawing more cards.
Yeah.
He's shuffling the deck. He's drawing more cards. He's just getting more outs. So he has Mew in the deck. He has Stretcher, which can get him a Grass Energy to draw with the
Ooh,
you know,
Mew,
oh my
Fez.
goodness. Fez and Mew. He
Ooh,
has so many ways to draw
so
this Earth
many.
Luna
Ooh,
and Vessel.
Vessel.
There's maybe, I think, 1 Grass.
Oh yeah, the
Okay.
grass wheel.
I think he's essentially guaranteed. He has 6 cards left in
Yeah.
deck. He's going to be able
He's
to,
gonna be able to see all 6.
Yeah,
Well,
he's
he's gonna be able to see like.
unless it's literally the bottom card of his
Yeah.
deck, I think he gets to see everything. And
Yeah.
he also has Ultra.
Yeah.
So he should be fine. There was Ursaluna.
Ursaluna.
Retreats, takes the knockout.
Oh, very close.
Oh my goodness.
And you can hear Josh grunt in
Yeah.
the background.
But very close game here,
Yeah.
and very good sequencing on Eli's
Yeah,
side.
as an expert on the Typhlosion matchup,
Yeah,
I think Eli played
unfortunately.
it very well.
Yeah,
Thank you for letting me tag in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to go to round 3.
yeah,
If I'm against a good match, not a good matchup, but an exciting matchup. Not an easy matchup, but an exciting one. I might put myself on stream.
yeah.
See
I
how
think it
it
would be a
goes.
good idea because it would be cool to see some more Grimmsnarl gameplay here.
Yeah, actually, revolve your
Yeah.
2-0. Put yourself on stream. I
Yeah,
support
he
that.
is 2-0. Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Put yourself on stream. I'm on board. Hello, everyone. I am back after being an impromptu judge very momentarily.
yes,
And actually, let me look a little bit at our stats here. So we actually have 38 players today. That is fantastic. For those of you who play Pokemon in the local community, I love the fact that now 25 to 20 players for us feels like a low turnout day.
yeah. And that was what we had when we had NAIC.
Yes.
Yeah,
Which is wild.
Which is wild, and that's what we were considering kind of low. And it's crazy that all these people are coming out to play. It's like when we're walking into the store, it's like we see 3 full tables of just people just hanging out before we start locals.
I know. I
which is
absolutely
crazy.
love it.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to look at your beautiful face here, Brian,
Oh,
for a
thank you.
moment. You
Thank
can
you, thank
flex
you.
the guns should you desire. Yeah, there we go. So we're trying to keep it PG though, man. So while we have a break, I do want to talk through one of the 2 big things that happened. One recently, and one we've got coming up. And
Yeah.
one recently was John Wongard won our NRG Invitational for the summer,
Yeah,
and that's pretty cool.
yeah, the inaugural one. So the first
Yes.
time we've had this invitational, and John being able to come down all the way from Wisconsin to
Yes.
take it out, take it.
He
that whole
did.
thing. Yeah.
He got his beautiful trophy, which I had not taken an image of, so that
Yes.
one's on me.
Oh, I think our Twitter has it.
Twitter
somewhere.
has it?
Yeah,
Beautiful.
You can find it on Twitter.
Everyone, look at the tweeter. The
Yeah.
tweeter indeed has it.
Yeah, definitely.
But we also saw again with Dragapult Charizard or Dragazard. Very exciting.
Yeah.
But we've got a bigger event coming up, Brian, that we're all very excited for.
Yeah, John's in chat. What's going on?
Hey,
Yeah.
perfect. How you doing, John?
Yeah, congrats on the dub. We've been talking you up about it, so yeah, glad to have you come out for it.
We have been hyping you up.
Yeah.
So glad you're here. But Brian, we have another big event coming up that is really, really cool.
Yeah, this is the one I feel like we're the most excited about.
Yes, I agree
Yeah.
completely. So Brian, tell us a bit about this event, what we're doing, what's the cause?
Yeah, so it's gonna be kind of like almost like a yearly thing that we're trying to do a charity event. Last year we did a collaboration event with the Lost Stone Kitchen, and we contributed to the Greater Chicago Food Bank.
Greater Chicagoland Food Depository. Yes.
Yep, and we were able to raise over $2,000 of it for that awesome charity. And now this year we wanted to do something a little bit different, and we're gonna have a bunch of regional champions coming down
Yes.
here to play against our team, and all of it's gonna go towards the Trevor Project, which is kind of like what we talked about last week, Dan. It's like it's a charity and a cause that's very relevant to our careers and our our ways of life and all of that.
So it
Yeah.
is. And I think this is one where obviously pretty personally invested from being a mental health professional. Like
Yeah.
I work with people constantly that are strongly, strongly affected by like some of the issues in society. And I say
Yeah.
this not to get political, but
Yeah.
more just there are people in the LGBTQ community that have to face barriers that others don't.
Yeah, and it feels like that they're kind of it's harder for them to live life to their fullest when all of these issues and kind of things are kind of holding them back at the end of the day.
For sure. And so whenever people say like, well, why do we need to dedicate to a specific project? We have to provide support to people who face additional barriers that others don't. And Trevor Project is so good. It's a well-recognized charity. They have a great history. And suicide prevention and crisis intervention are desperately, desperately needed right now across the board. And so, Brian, you probably see this in the hospital too, how important this is.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, I work as a nurse, so in the hospital we have patients come in all the time, for various different reasons, physical health, mental health, all of that stuff. But mental health has been a crazy, crazy rising issue in our communities, and it's one of those things where it's like it's bigger than Pokemon,
Yes.
and we're trying to use our hobby, and our team to kind of put it to a good cause. All these players are coming down here to just really help us raise some money and just make it, bigger than the community kind of thing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And so we will have a ton of good news coming out. We're going to have a ton of great giveaways.
Yeah.
We're going to have maybe some guest people come in even on top of these guys.
Yeah.
And it's going to be an awesome event.
Yeah, it's going to be an awesome event. I mean, it's really great for the community to be able to do something like this, and it's really a privilege for us to be able to kind of contribute to a cause like this.
Agreed. And so with that, and we'll talk more about this later, but we are going to get into our next game, and we have Rafal playing Grimmsnarl EX versus June, who is playing, I'm not quite sure yet.
I think it's Pzard.
Pzard? Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. It's
Yeah.
been too long since we had a Pzard up there.
Yeah, I think it is Pzard.
All right. So I'm actually going to just start calling it Dragazard because I
Yeah.
think that's just way cooler name.
Yeah.
Feels like a throwback to the Power Ranger Megazords back in the day.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So, Brian, I've obviously talked at length about this deck, but what does June want to do in this specific matchup?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be kind of like what we were talking about initially, to where when Kevin was playing it, trying to kind of force that Charizard early, just because it provides so much pressure. I think that's really a big part of the matchup, and just being able to kind of take the early game slow. I mean, starting Pheasantipity is not the greatest thing in the world, but being able to kind of take things slow, get a good setup going, and then get your draw set up, and then you can kind of start doing the damage from there.
And that's really the thing is, can you get the draw set up early enough where Rafal's not able to punish you for having Dracloaks in play with those Frostlass?
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, getting one Dreepy out is good for June, but I'm
Yeah.
sure she wants to see a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. I would agree as well. But didn't really get the chance to see what they have in hand here.
No, and I had seen maybe a Dragapult EX, but it's not quite what you want
Yeah.
at this point. So then, assuming this is the only thing she's able to get out,
Yeah.
what else would you want to see
Ooh,
from
so
her
I
this
see
turn?
a TM Evo. Oh, it looks like we're just going with the attachment and the pass here.
Is that a Luminous or Fire?
That is a
Energy?
Luminous, yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah,
not great because
I
that's
know.
not exactly where you want to see that committed.
Definitely. But, I mean, there's not too much you can really do going first here. I mean, the TM Evo might be able to provide some help in the next turn here. And going to Rafal side here, Buddy Poffin comes down and brings up the Tatsugiri
Tatsugiri.
and the Snow Run. I know Azul GG's favorite card,
Yes,
Tatsugiri.
Tatsugiri, high quality. So that is an interesting inclusion here.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just to increase the chances of getting that early Arven.
Which,
or Iono or anything like that, he does get the Arven here, which is I would think what he would want here.
well, so I think it depends on, do we have access to an energy?
Yeah, that's true.
Because if we have an energy in hand, I agree.
Yeah,
And also, I mean, even if it's just a Buddy Buddy Poffin,
Yeah.
that's still not bad.
yeah, it's still not bad. I don't see any sort of energy here, but looks like that's going to be what we grab here.
I think so. So,
Yeah.
Brian, do you think that's the right choice?
I don't, but I don't think it's going to be one of those things. I don't think Roth's going to be playing it this turn. I think he's just going to
Ah.
pass it on and use it the following turn to kind of get his setup going from there, because Roth kind of recognizes that both players have had kind of a slow start here. So
And speaking of, we
Yeah.
just see a TM
yeah,
Evo
just
from
see the
June.
Evo.
That's not great.
Not great. Yeah.
All right, and so I agree. So one of the best cards in Grimmsnarl's deck is the Secret Box. And I agree, Brian. I think Rafal's saying, you know what? I'm just going to Secret Box next turn to attack.
Yeah, that could be also like what is kind of happening here. And now that there's two Impidimps here, being able to kind of just set up one and then do the rare candy play that we're kind of looking at the other time too, could really push Rav ahead and allow him to be the aggressor here.
And I think, no, well,
Oh, is that a
Petrol.
Oh, wow.
So Petrol, Team Rocket's Petrol is a new supporter from
Yeah.
Destined Rivals, and it is a repeat of Skyla, a couple others like it, where it just says, look, get a trainer card out of your deck.
Yeah.
And so
Is it just going to search out the secret box?
it is simply to provide more outs to Secret Box. And so we do see the Secret Box off of it. Man, what do you think about that decision?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I wonder where Ralph got this list, or if he just cooked this up.
So I know he's been taking a lot of lists from Japan results recently.
Yeah.
And Rafal, man, if y'all ever need to know or get some good conclusions from Japan testing or Japan games, talk to Rafal. Dude is a wizard.
Yeah.
Also,
definitely.
follow him on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Like,
Yeah, he's got a crazy meme game.
he does. His
Yeah.
meme game is very strong.
Yeah.
But kind of back to this game, we do see the Secret Box, and Rafal just debating what to discard from hand. I mean, he's got some good options.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the benefits to him, just being able to just, keep the supporters that he was drawing and just taking it slow. Because now he's got some extra cards in hand to be able to discard, because if he was just kind of all willy-nilly just like discarding stuff to get set up,
Yeah.
he would have fewer resources to kind of work with here.
And so off of this, we see an Energy Search, we see a Spike Mooth, and then a TM Evo. And I gotta imagine we get either an Iono or an Arven or something like that. Oh,
Yeah,
Professor's
Professor's
Research.
Very good here.
So then, Brian, here's my question. Are we attacking with Grimmsnarl?
I think we're going to try to.
And I'm unsure.
Oh, I think we're just going with the TM Evo here then.
What do you think about that decision?
Yeah, and I think this Evo is just going to grab the Frostlass, and it's going to grab another Morgrim, which I actually really like, because Roth is recognizing, June start's still pretty slow, but being able to kind of just, take it slow as well,
Yeah.
now has a really good start here.
And so only evoing into the Frostlass is not ideal, but I really need to stress that June's hand sucks.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of pressure coming on that side of the board.
So, we got a Energy and Dreepy here, and I'm wondering if we just throw down this Charmander here as well.
So, and
I don't see why not.
kind of like you're saying, all of
Yeah.
a sudden, June's hand's getting a bit better because now we have some of those evolving basics to set up a board.
Yeah, definitely. So I would like to see both of those kind of come down. Good, good.
Yes, excellent,
And-
excellent.
Yeah.
So now, this, I think, unless you disagree, Brian, this is the turn to attack with Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, I would say so as well. Just because now the Grimmsnarl will be able to attack for 200.
180.
Well, 180, but it's going to add up to 200 because of the 20 damage on the Pheasantipity.
Yep.
Close out the ability to use Pheasantipity and start spreading some of that damage onto the Dracloak as well. So this provides a lot of good opportunity here for Rafal.
Well, and also, we're going to be quite close to knocking out that Dracloak if we can get a Monkey Dory
Yeah,
down.
Monkey Dory down would be really huge here as well. Looks like we don't really have one at the moment, but it looks like we're just going to be playing the research here.
which is fine.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to Iono. You want to hit into Pheasantipity more than
Yeah,
anything else.
definitely.
And so now let's see if we find Monkey Energy.
Ooh, Monkey's there, but we don't have the energy, unfortunately. And we did burn that E-switch already.
We did. So we will be able to Tatsugiri here.
Yeah.
See if we can thin the deck a bit. Because then I imagine we're going to retreat out of Tatsugiri to then use that Shadow Bullet and take kind of a free 2 prizes without triggering anything positive for June.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good start here for Rafal. And it's kind of like a different way to start the game compared to the other Grimmsnarl players we've seen every other round, just because Raph is taking it extra slow here. He's really putting priority on his board setup here and being able to kind of flesh out the bench compared to the other ones who are really trying to get into that rare candy play a lot faster.
And so this is, I think, why there's so much importance in mapping out appropriate game plan with the deck.
Yep.
When we saw before the players being aggressive, it ended up being aggression versus aggression.
Yep.
And that is helpful at times, but in general not that advantageous.
Yeah.
If one of the players had decided to set a different course, it could have changed everything in how the game went.
Yeah.
When we see another Charmander and a boss's
Charmander
orders.
boss doesn't really do much here.
No, but
Yeah.
to be honest, do we have to evolve up this Dracloak this turn?
I think we do. Just because if we don't, it's going to get sniped next turn anyways.
Agreed.
Yeah, but the only thing that's not very beneficial about that now is that with that, we're losing out pretty much the thing that was helping us draw all these cards in the first place.
Oh, June deciding to attach to the Charmander.
Yeah, this might be a blazing destruction angle here.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah,
and
just be able to take that stadium out of play. And then hopefully evolve that Dracloak.
And
Oh,
so-
we're not looking to do so.
no, so we're going to go to 70 damage, I believe, on that Dracloak.
Yeah.
And then 40 on the Tatsugiri, 20 on the Monkey Dory. The advantage that June has is that Rafal can't attach to Frostlass and retreat it. So, I don't think Rafal cares.
Yeah.
And this is actually hilarious. I don't think Rafal... Oh, we are just going in... Oh, and I think we're going to Gust knockout the 2 Dreepy, if I had to imagine.
Yeah, that seems like a good play here.
Or
we can just knock out the Charmander here.
yeah,
Yeah, I
knock
think
out
I
Charmander
actually like
Cloak.
that play a lot better. Just because the Charmander is the more immediate threat. Because as soon as you have the rare candy, then you're kind of just able to get that Charizard right away. So unfortunate start for June, not being able to get really anything set up here. But
No.
Rafal really showing the power of this deck here.
And June does just scoop it up because,
Yeah.
I mean, Grimmsnarl did what Grimmsnarl wanted to do, and
Yeah.
Dragazar did not.
Yeah.
But all right, we do have a second game going on, and shock people, we have more Dragazard.
Yeah, Dragazard and some more Toadscruel.
So I really need to stress, I did not tell people to play these decks. Like,
Yeah.
I think they're good, but this was
Yeah.
not the intent.
Yeah, it was not the intent, and I don't think you told anyone to play to the Invitational either.
No, I just love the deck.
Yeah.
So everyone picked up. I think it's that balance of it's fun, it's got a lot of power, it's
Mhm.
competitive, but it's not mind-numbing. You still get to make a lot of big, complex decisions,
Yeah.
and you get to go boom, boom. And I mean, that is a perfect balance of deck.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we see Connor kind of struggling here, though, with Dragazard. Leo is up big on prizes, and I don't know if we've used a single Phantom Dive so far.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it, but I mean, Connor would definitely want to have like a rare candy here. Definitely seems like it would help, but looks like we're just retreating into the Charmander.
Ooh, that is
Does not
brutal.
feel great here. Yeah.
No. And I mean, at this point, I gotta imagine Leo just runs away with the game.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of tough to kind of be able to do anything into this. Just because you want to kind of force the Charizard just because it kind of provides that pressure like we were talking about, but then the Ogre Puns and the Toadscruel just make easy work out of it.
Yes.
And it takes so long to set up these Dragapults that it doesn't really feel like it's doing too much. And then, the protective mycelium,
Protective Mycelium. Yes.
also protects
Or
from,
Mycelium, sure, yeah.
from the Dragapult damage counters. So it feels like this Toadscruel deck has a really good matchup into this deck here.
It does. And I think that's why Ray was able to be so successful with it,
Yeah.
is because she could take this into Charizards, into Dragapults,
Yeah.
do a whole lot of things, including Grimmsnarl, and just run it over.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we do see the Iron
Ooh,
Leaves
Iron
come down.
Leaves.
Ooh, what do you think of that decision?
Yeah, interesting. Looks like we're just gonna boost up and retreat.
Yes, and we're
To
not going to
attack?
attack with it, but because of the Latias EX,
Yeah.
we can
Oh,
retreat
we can
for
retreat
free
for free, and then we can also put more energy down.
on different Pokemon.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, very heads up play here. I do like that a lot.
And Leo is an excellent, excellent player, so
Yeah.
it is cool to see him pull off these attacks. I know
Yeah.
Connor thinks it's less cool,
Yeah.
but
Well,
understandable.
we think it's cool.
Yes, we think it's cool. And so
Yeah.
Leo goes down to 2 prizes remaining, which means effectively Connor can't really use
Yeah.
Charizard anymore.
Yeah, I think it's just like hoping that that we can kind of have some sort of Iono play to kind of save the game here.
We see a Monkey Dory, which is not the
It's not-
most helpful.
Yeah, not really what we need here. I think it's kind of like an Iono and Prey kind of angle here.
Definitely. And so we're going to have to take a knockout essentially to not just automatically lose. But we'll see if Connor can pull it off.
Yeah, so we'll see 6 cards here. And
Or are we down to
ooh,
3 prizes as Leo?
I think he's got 2. It looks
Well,
like
he just
2.
drew 3 off of Iono.
Oh, so I guess it's 3 then. Yeah.
Do you mind nicely checking and just making sure?
Yes.
So Brian is going to check on that because I'm going to control the computers here, as is my responsibility. And man, Connor is not hitting what he needs.
Yeah, we're good.
We're going on 3? All right, sweet. So Leo does have 3, which that is a big deal then because going in with Charizard is fine.
Yeah, and just because now gives us an extra turn to kind of work with here.
Yes, and Cat, yes, we have the Toad, and to be honest, we may be seeing Toadscruel, Grimmsnarl at 3-0 playing each other, which is wild.
That is kind of wild.
And we just pass over on Connor's end. Is that just the end?
Could be, but I want to see Leo kind of setting up some more of those energy on the board here. That would kind of help be able to create that checkmate board state.
Yes.
To kind of finish the game from here.
Well, and so that's exactly it. If we get, 8 Pokemon down with energy on them, holy, are we doing a lot of damage.
Definitely.
And we do see
Ooh,
the
we
Iono.
Yeah, we see it. We see the energy here.
Yes, and still able to draw. We see another
one.
energy.
Oh, so powerful here.
Oh my goodness. And so now we also get to restart. Man, Leo's board is just
it's
so
crazy board.
strong.
This deck is actually so good.
It has been wildly cool to watch. And now Connor's in a tough spot because a lot of the ways that Dragapult comes back is by hitting into these bulkier 2-prizers and setting up a multi-prize knockout. But we're not going to be able to Phantom Dive and place counters on any of these Toads.
Yeah, pretty much. It's pretty much just going to be on the Mew at this point.
Right. And so we do have an Ultra Ball to get the Dragapult out, but I don't know how Connor wins this game.
I don't know either. I mean, only has, what, 2 prizes left now?
Yes. So the thing that he may have to hope for is to gust up this Toadscruel with only 1 energy, hit into it, spread onto the Mew EX, and just hope that Leo doesn't have either an attachment or an E-switch.
Yeah, and being able and just having to waste your supporter for turn to do that kind of play doesn't feel great.
So the good news is we are certainly in counter catcher range.
Yes.
So that is an option. The bad news is you only play so many of those.
Yeah. It's very tough here.
Yeah, and Connor debating between either the and we did see a knockouts. We are 2 prizes for Leo. Debating between the Fire Energy or the Dracloak. And I mean, I think the debate's really just whether or not to keep the energy in deck.
Yeah. It's very tough here.
So is there any other line except for counter catcher hit or boss hit?
It's not looking like it. Yeah.
I mean, that's hard then because this is a very precarious position.
Yeah. Ooh, this is so tough to see.
It is. So now, the one advantage that Connor has is there's still Monkey Dory available. We still have an opportunity to use Charizard to clean up a knockout. and we don't have any energy on that Mew protecting it.
Yeah.
And we've already used Iron Leaves, so we do not have a way to retreat this Toad out of the active if it's gusted up without an energy attachment or something similar.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, oh, looks like he's just
Oh,
scooping
and
it
Connor
up.
just
Yeah.
scoops it up and says, "You know what, man?
Yeah.
You got me." But why do you think that was?
Yeah, it seemed like Leo was kind of just in such a commanding position that he's just going to take those last 2 prizes no matter what.
And I mean,
Yeah.
you're not wrong. I think odds were certainly in his favor,
Yeah.
but man, I was kind of surprised Connor didn't try to pull something out there, especially
Yeah.
with the boss in hand.
Definitely.
So then, Brian, I'm going to throw up this deck because
Yeah.
this deck is just cool. But do you think Toad actually has an opportunity to be a real competitive deck going forward?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a very meta-dependent deck because it's one of those things where if you know that there's going to be a lot of Grimmsnarl, like if Grimmsnarl is really going to show up, or if a lot of decks like those big basic decks are going to be kind of showing up, I feel like this deck has a lot of good matchups into those kinds of decks, just because of the power of the Colony Rush and the power of the grass typing.
It is, and it's nice that you have a baked-in engine in Teal Mask Ogrepon that supports your primary attacker because there's just such good. Oh, this is such a corporate word, but there's
Yeah.
such good synergy,
Yeah.
God, between Teal Mask Ogrepon and Toadscruel because you fill your board with energy,
Yeah.
you draw cards to continue to like advance your board, and in doing so, you both protect it because of the mycelium. Mycelium, whatever, and then also boost the damage. So with 80 plus 40 for each of your bench Pokemon, I mean 40 times 8, 320, you're hitting 400 damage max with this Toadscruel EX.
Yeah.
That's
it's
bonkers,
crazy.
dude.
It is crazy. Yeah.
Man. And so then, Brian, for anyone who would want to pick up this deck, like, what is your advice? What do you think the right way to play it is?
Yeah, I think it's one of those decks where it just really needs the reps. You can't really just pick it up and just automatically start dominating with it. You definitely need the reps. You definitely need to know how to manage your resources, manage your bench space, and all of that. I think that's like the most important part about playing this deck. But it's got a lot of really cool pieces and a lot of interesting ways to win games.
And so, whenever we look at a deck like this, to me, the question is always like, what are the skills that help you be successful here?
Yeah.
And so, Brian, you mentioned a couple. One, bench management is huge. And we saw that it was possible Leo was going to get punished for
Yeah.
bench management if Connor had gone with the gust and spread play.
Yeah.
The other one is sequencing. Because to me, this is a deck that screams proper sequencing is essential
Yeah.
because your board draw is limited to 1 card per action. And that means you got to be real careful what order you go in because you only see so many cards.
Yeah, absolutely. And just and you can definitely get punished too if you're not like putting the right cards down at the right times, or if you kind of do things in the wrong order. Or if you play the wrong supporter as well, like if you mess up something in the early game, you could also get punished for that too. So it's definitely one of those decks that rewards you for proper sequencing, but also punishes you as well.
And so we were talking with Joe a couple weeks ago about every Crane Eater's favorite deck in Joltik box. And that's another one of those decks, and I say this not to compare this to this deck, don't hate me, Ray, but it's another one of those decks where even though on the surface it seems pretty easy, what it means is that all the variance in the deck and all the skill is captured in different types of decisions. So it's captured in where you apply your energy. It's captured in what attacker and how you map out your prizes. And for this deck, the skill is going to be captured in how do you sequence, how do you use your resources to set up your board, and when do you use your weird attackers in the Iron Leaves.
Yeah.
Kind of like we saw with Leo. When do you attack with Teal Mask versus Toadscruel? And, I mean, honestly, when do you genome hacking?
Yeah, definitely. I was definitely looking at those lines too, to where like genome hacking could be very effective in stuff like the Dragapult matchup, just because you're going to be able to copy that Phantom Dive, and you can take multiple prizes that way as well.
It is. Oh, Ray did? Awesome.
Oh, very cool.
So anyone who is interested in this deck, check that out. Ray Chen is the person who piloted this deck insanely well to, I believe it was Vancouver?
Portland,
and then NAIC, and got her invite in 2 events.
Yeah, 2 events. Raise the goat.
And she ride like a maniac. I love it. That is
Yeah.
passion incarnate.
Yep.
Kenneth, thank you for sharing that. Also, Kenneth,
Yeah.
I don't know if I said it before.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, shout out to you.
So then, Brian, there are a couple other cool things coming up this summer that I
Yeah.
think it'd be good to talk about. And once I find the actual sheets, I will do so. But we've got our charity event. We've got another event coming up.
Yeah, the 3v3.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, you're picking up what I'm laying
Yeah,
down. Yeah.
absolutely.
And so we have a 3v3 event coming up the same weekend as our charity event. So Brian, tell us about this.
Yeah, so the 3v3 event's cool because Pokemon is traditionally like a 1 versus 1 kind of game. A lot of people go onto teams to kind of work with each other, make lists, do this kind of stuff. But this is like a team event,
It is.
like an actual team event. You can help each other out in your games. If there's one person in your team that's a specialist in a certain matchup, they can kind of coach you through it, and vice versa. So it's a cool way to kind of make Pokemon a more team inclusive environment and just allow people to just get their buddies together for a fun event.
100%. And Kenneth, GLC, I do love it in small doses. What
Yeah.
retro were you trying to play? And then back on track. So yes, Brian, exactly. So this is a 3v3 tournament. Obviously, Pokemon is still a 1v1 game. We haven't come up with anything crazy about that for supporters or
Yeah.
stuff. But the difference is kind of the opposite to the world structure. We want you to actively help your teammates in game. So if you're sitting in the middle, say Brian's on my left, I'm in the middle, and Brian is debating whether or not to boss before drawing with Pheasantipity, I
Yeah.
can nicely say, Brian, what the F are you doing?
Yeah.
Don't boss yet.
Yeah.
Use Pheasantipity first. And likewise, I could be deciding to place all of my damage counters on one Monkey Dory, and Brian could say, Dan, have you ever played Pokemon before? Don't do that. And so, like Brian said, we want this to encourage it to be kind of a team effort where
Yeah.
you're trying to go best 2 out of 3,
Mhm.
but best 2 out of 3 across your team.
Yeah, and it's cool too because it kind of encourages you guys to have like multiple deck choices throughout the day, just because like it could help kind of diversify the matchups and how you kind of approach each game once you kind of like sit across your opponent.
100%. And so how this will be set up is you will ahead of time decide what order you're going to sit in. So like it'll be Brian, then me, then Rafal. Every round, we will set up in that same order and go against other teams. So I will always play the person in the center, Brian will always play the person on the left, Rafal always the person on the right. And so in order to advance the top cut, you have to win 2 of those 3 games. And if you go 1-1 in a tie, you tie. If you go 2-1, you win. 3-0, you win. I promise it's not that complicated. So we will have registration for that up soon if we don't already. And we will have a whole lot of players hopefully for it. So we don't know exactly what prizing will be yet, but we're going to figure that out as we go. And hello, Rafal.
Hello.
Do we want to talk about GLC coming up?
Sure.
Yeah, you guys are the GLC guys.
Yeah,
I'll
do you
step in for
mind?
this one.
Perfect. So we have one other event coming up, and because Kenneth just mentioned how much he does not like playing GLC, we're going to talk about how we moderately like it. And so, Rafal, we last summer did a whole summer series of different things, and I will fully admit it was moderately popular, and only moderately.
Yes. Yeah, people get burnt out of alternative formats if they're not like their store's like person for them,
Right.
I was at the GLC event at NAIC and I had a lot of similar talks with people where that's like we're the GLC guy at our locals and we get people to play GLC, but also like even if like honestly even me as like the GLC guy, I was like how do people have time to like test GLC? Like
Yes.
I'll build a deck, I'll play a game. I played a couple games before locals today. I don't know how people have time to like test GLC because it's like then it's like that's like your format, like that's like
Right.
your primary format, and we're a very competitive store. Like that's like just the thing we have going for us. We are a very sweaty store, very competitive, for better or for worse,
Right.
Most of our players want to play standard. They want to play, if there's a new format coming up, they want to play that, as soon as those cards are legal, even before they're legal sometimes. So, yeah, last year we did a lot of GLC and a lot of Expanded over the summer. I think Expanded especially, people were like burned out pretty quickly.
100%. Expanded is a monster right now.
Yes. But on July 17th, if
Yes.
we can just confirm that's a Thursday, right?
Yes.
17th. July 17th, we will be doing a GLC locals. So I'm gonna have like 5 or 6 decks built. Ryan on our team is gonna have like 4 or 5 decks built. We'll see who else has
I
stuff.
will have at least 2 decks built, and I have a baby, so I hope you all appreciate the dedication associated with that.
True.
But yeah, we will have decks for people to play. And this is the good news and bad news. We are not going to have stream on the 17th. So, which is why we kind of took this opportunity to say, hey, this is a really good opportunity for us to kind of like have fun, play a new format. So, I say this to all of you. If you ever thought you wanted to try it out, if you thought it was cool, thought it was interesting, we would love to have you come out that Thursday to play. And also, if you're interested in GLC, Good Games in the City has consistent GLC weekly. Tricky Jim has a ton of good resources online. And honestly, we can probably post a link to some resources too if people want to build in advance.
Yeah, honestly, the GLC website, I mean, it's maintained by Andrew Mahone. I think he's actually streaming his GLC locals as we speak.
Oh, all right, fair enough.
So you can go on his YouTube channel. I think literally gymleaderchallenge.com will have like fairly up-to-date GLC lists if anyone's looking for like what's good in the current format. What's up? Oh, he's just saying, oh, hi, Kevin. I thought I was needed.
Kevin has also stopped in. We are clearly a highly professional environment here. And Kat, I also miss Lost Box, so I'm glad you appreciate other times to use it. But please, Rafal, keep going.
Yeah, but we're going to be doing a GLC night. If anyone needs a GLC deck and doesn't have one, feel free to message our store Twitter or me or Dan or anyone on the team. We can get you set up with the deck. You know, I think it's a lot of fun just to sometimes play something different. Like I said, we're not going to make like a whole thing out of it. It's not going to be like every other week. It's one time this summer, just kind of a little GLC bonanza. Everyone's going to kind of just play something different, have a little fun, have a little different, a bit of a different Pokemon TCG experience. And we had a lot of new players at our store recently. So for a lot of them, you know, they might be seeing some unfamiliar cards. And like I said, we're a very competitive store. So even I was just talking to some players out there who maybe I think just started really coming to our locals recently in the past couple months, and they're already saying like, I want to build the GLC deck. So
love it, love to hear it.
They're just like, you know, I think one of the great things about NRG is just get people excited about playing Pokemon and playing Pokemon in various ways. So you know, yeah, if you're interested in a little gym leader challenge night in Buffalo Grove, if we're close to you, feel free to come by on the 17th. 6:30 start as usual, just no stream. And if you need a deck, just feel free to reach out.
Someone who said, "Let me play." I'm not actually sitting by the chat. Who said this? JJ, absolutely. You are welcome to use my deck when you show up. And
is that not the chat on the right monitor?
It is. That is only Twitch. That is Twitch and YouTube. So I was reliant on Brian. But JJ, I will happily share one of my 2 decks with you. And Kat, we definitely have Dragon. I think both you and Ryan have Dragon builds, right?
Yeah, I'm working on building it. Me and Ryan are putting in a big order. Yeah, like I feel like every like two or three times a year, I just suddenly go like full GLC brain. You know, the season ended. I'm getting married in October, so I've been having a very sorry, that's the 30-minute timer for the game we were just playing,
perfect, nice.
Which did not end in
it did not take 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have some stuff built. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but me and Ryan are putting in an order. You know, it's kind of the off season right now. I'm not going to Worlds or anything, so you know, just trying to enjoy Pokemon as much as I can, keep it fresh. There's only so much standard you can play before you get a little bit burnt out. Especially since if you've been I was grinding for NAIC so much. Now it's like I want to keep playing Pokemon. Do I really want to keep playing standard?
Well, and that's the advantage. And actually, I do appreciate TPCI doing this in having November to just chill. Murray, awesome to have you here. Thank you very much for joining. But it's nice to have a break from being sweaty. Like, we can actually take our time, play some fun stuff, not stress about Worlds, because there's a whole other set between here and Worlds. So our competitors definitely going to want to start testing within the next couple days, weeks for sure. But y'all, I'm not going to Worlds. I just want to play for fun. And Dan, I would love to see you out here for GLC. It'd be awesome to have you join. Everyone, DEF CON is Dan, incredible player. We had him out here for the League Invitational. He did not quite make cut, but he's a great player. So, Rafal, if anyone does want to plan for our 3v3, just get back on track, for the 27th, what would you recommend for them? What can they do to give their team the best chance?
For the 3v3?
For 3v3. That's where we started. We just bounced the GLC and back.
I don't know, man. Because the only time I've done the 3v3 was years ago. It was during the Evolving Skies meta.
Yes.
Which was a really weird meta because it was like not a rock paper scissors. It was almost like a pentagon.
Yes.
Like there was every deck had like 3 decks, like no deck had like 50-50 matchups. Like
right.
There's no deck like Dragapult in that format where like everything was between a 45 and a 55 and you could kind of outskill your opponent. You're either beating your opponent or you're probably losing to your opponent. So it was like a gigantic crapshoot of like, you know, I'm going to play single strike. Oh no, they played the grass deck. Single strike loses because you were hoping you would fight a deck that single strike beat. And it was just this like really weird kind of predicty meta. But honestly, just play a deck that you're comfortable with. Play a deck with overall good matchups. You know, at the end of the day, it's like playing at a cup, except you have people relying on you. So maybe if you feel some added pressure, play a deck that doesn't make you, you know, fully locked in. Because if you're the last game going and there's technically 6 people watching your game around you, maybe play a deck that doesn't stress you out too much. If you're in that situation.
This is why I'm glad I brought you in for advice, because that was actually the exact opposite of the feedback I was going to give. So this is good.
What were you going to say?
I was actually going to say, like, it's okay to not stress as much or feel that all the pressure is on you because you have a team. So I would work with your team, plan out the 3 decks you're going to play together, like prepare as a group so that way you don't have to do all the testing on all 3 decks. You don't have to map out everything. You know you have resources to support there with you, even if it's just a, you can do it, Dan, because we want it to be a team event.
See, Dan, I think this is just where the different, maybe our different mentalities come in. Because I'm like, I need to win it. If I'm like one of the losses for my team, I'm a failure. And Dan's like, no, your teammates are gonna cheer you up. I'm like, no, Dan. Like,
so I will tell you, Rafal, I played in the team challenge every time, and the most recent team challenge. So for those who didn't know the team challenge, God, no, Kenneth, I will straight up kick you out of the store. To be honest, I will do it. Is it fair? Is it legal? No. Would I do it anyway? God, yes. But the team challenge had a very similar format where there's 3-player teams, and you played against all 3 of your opponent's teams. So basically 9 games, you had to win 5. And Rafal, in the last team challenge I played, I went 3-0 on my games, and we lost 4-5. And I can tell you, I felt a lot of frustration that day, Rafal.
I see.
It hurt me deep to my core. So I would like to uplift my team so that way that doesn't happen again, because that was demoralizing.
Yes. That does make sense. I guess I was feeling it more for kind of like the in-person element of it. You know what I mean? Where it's like, you know, especially it does kind of depend on like where you're sitting, because you do kind of like a lot. You know, do you want to kind of strategize and have like your team captain in the middle and they can kind of like keep an eye on both games, or do you want to kind of be on the edges? Like, how do you want, like, you know, so, you know, how do you want to do it? But it's you know, there's a little bit of strategy to that, but I was thinking more of like kind of the in-person aspect of like, say that like you're the middle table and you're the last game going and you have like your friends on your left and your right watching you and you're just like, oh God, like,
well,
you know,
okay,
like,
that's fair.
You know,
yes.
Then it becomes a little, you feel the stakes a little bit. But yeah, I mean, I think a part of that is also like I said, we're just a very competitive community here. This will be like essentially, like in the style of a 1K, in that every player will register for about as much as our 1K cups. I think the team registration is like $100-ish.
That's the general plan right now.
Yeah. So I mean, ideally, if registration goes right and we have about 20 to 30 teams, I mean, we'll have it'll be a $1,500, $2,000 tournament or something like that.
As far as we know, if we hit 90 players, it's a 2K. And that's what we're going to hope for. Because I know earlier in the season when we first did it, there were a bunch of stuff going on, and we still hit 1.5K. So we are hoping that we can get to that 2K soon. But Rafal, next round is up. I will go let you pick out our matchups.
Yeah,
what's
see
up?
What we got.
Put Trevor on. He's playing Yanmega.
Oh, 100%.
Let's put Trevor on.
Trevor and Jonathan on one, and then probably
Eli's been on 2 a couple times.
I would put Martin and June on.
Okay.
Yeah, because we've had Leo, Rachel, Eli, Rafal on a bunch already. So I would say let's do Martin and June.
Okay.
No. Go home, Eli. Just kidding. We're happy to have you here. But, all right, we have transitioned. We have talked. We are all over the place.
Here you go, Brian.
While we are getting set up,
Thanks for talking for a little bit.
I'm just going to remind us of one more thing. And that we have...
I'm back.
Hello, Brian. You know what, actually, we'll talk about non-Pokemon stuff in a minute. First, I want to talk about Pokemon, and there's one other list that we did not talk about that I really, really wanted to show off. And that is, oh, shoot, I just had it. It's gone. It's gone. That's it. This is the one list we had not talked about that I really, really want to have show. And Kat, that is still awesome. Being a coach is still valuable. But we have our lovely Ogre Pond deck. And Brian, tell me of this beautiful, beautiful deck in front of us.
So This deck is crazy. I don't even know what I'm looking at here.
Or do you want to set up the stream and I can talk all about it?
Yeah, that might
Okay.
help a little bit.
Sounds good.
I don't even know what they're playing though.
No worries. This is why we have a team effort
Yeah.
here. So this is Ogerpon. This is shenanigans. So when Ogerpon and all the Ogerpons first came out, there were some pipe dreams, and that's probably not something I'm allowed to say, but about this deck where you could use Teal Dance to accelerate and then swap it out into whichever Ogerpon is most valuable. So this deck said, hold my beer. And we have 3 Teal Mask Ogerpon, 2 of the Cornerstone, 2 of the Water Veil. Is it Water Veil?
Wellspring.
Wellspring. I eventually will remember that. Combined with Clefairy, Blood Moon Ursaluna, and a ton of other like basic attackers. I can give you a ton of different win conditions. So the big deal here is that with Ogerpon EX as a draw, very Terra Box kind of setup, you can use Cornerstone more effectively. You can Teal Dance twice onto an Ogerpon EX, get your Wellspring knocked out, and then Ogre's Mask back into it to double snipe again. Legacy Energy is huge with this because you get a Rainbow Energy that also reduces prizes, and because you are not playing with the Noctowl engine, you're less likely to use that Sparkling Crystal or something, since you're primarily just going to be able to draw straight into your deck. So I think this list is super cool. So our friend Kevin Krieger got cooked by it in day 2, I believe, and this list ended up getting 35th, or top 64 at NAIC. And top 64 out of 3,800 players is pretty freaking cool, man. So I love this deck. I definitely need to try it out more, but also we've kind of got through the big NAIC ones. I will say next week, y'all listening, if you got any ideas on decks you want us to talk about, send it our way. DM me on Twitter. I'm at DanTheTrainer25. Or just yell at me or tag me in something and I'll follow you back because I don't do that very often. And just, we'll throw it up here. It'd be cool to talk about stuff over the summer. And Dan, send me a list and you bet we will talk about Zoro Typhlosion.
Yeah,
that sounds sick.
Shout out to Dan.
I do think Typhlosion, especially when Silver Bangle comes out, is going to be a legitimate like contender in the format. So in this next round, is Trevor still playing Guardy?
No, he's playing Yanmega.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We are going to see Yanmega EX, and I am hoping and praying we actually see a Yanmega EX hit the board because this deck was not the best for when I was playing it before.
Yeah. 1 second, I gotta switch the.
No, you are totally fine. Yes, Dan, share the list. We will throw it up, talk all about it, and if you're coming out next Thursday, we will bring you in to actually talk about it because it'd be cool to have you here. But otherwise, some of the other ones, I think Typhlosion, Pidgeot would be cool to look at. We're probably going to have to talk about more Gardevoir. We are definitely going to have to talk about Gardevoir with Espathra in it because that is just a cool inclusion. And then, yeah, Brian, maybe we just have next week be interesting deck week.
Yeah, that would be cool, like an idea to kind of do. Just because if we just do like interesting deck week, then it kind of just like lets people be more creative and all of that stuff here as well.
For sure. And so we are setting up for our last round here,
I
and
just
we
gotta figure out
have.
what Jonathan's playing. So I'll switch it as soon as we.
We'll see once it
Yeah.
flips. But
Yeah.
Brian, I can swap back out with you
Alright,
going
cool.
around that. But
Yeah.
we are back at it. We have our last round, and then Brian, can you tell them they can go ahead and start?
Yes.
And so we have Trevor playing Yanmega, which is just glorious, glorious, versus Jonathan playing I don't know yet, but we will find out soon. And we have some kind of fan Rotom deck. Oh, we have Bolt. All right. So, Brian, who is favored,
Yeah.
Yanmega or Raging Bolt?
I think the Raging Bolt's kind of favored here.
I could understand that. And Kat, thank you very much for joining anyway. It was awesome to have you here.
Yeah.
And yeah, we see Fan Rotom. We see a couple of Hoot Hoots coming down. I mean, Jonathan's going to have a pretty good start here, Brian.
Yeah, I think the only way that Trevor can kind of keep himself in the game here is if either the Iron Hands can kind of do a miracle up trade of the prizes, or if Jonathan kind of whiffs a couple turns.
And I mean, that is true. And it's tough to wish for that as like a game plan,
Yeah.
but
Never feels good.
it does not. But Trevor does have an advantage where he's going to be able to take advantage of some unique attackers like Iron Hands EX, Blood Moon Ursaluna. And so he can start by taking the first 2 prize knockout should he desire. And so we do see the Ditto and 2 Hoot Hoots come down for Jonathan. Probably going to retreat into this Ditto. And then what do you think Jonathan wants to see here?
Yeah, probably put the Baby Bolt in, or maybe just normal Raging Bolt EX. Oh, but actually decides to
Or
put it in the discard pile instead to
so,
grab.
Brian, it had been at least
EX.
10 minutes since someone completely ignored our feedback.
Yeah, I
So,
know.
it's been a bit. I
Yeah.
miss it. I miss it. Jonathan, thank you for again
Yeah.
telling us we don't know what we're talking about. All right, so Brian, what else does Jonathan want to do this turn?
Yeah, I think just it's when going first, I feel like you just want to be able to set up the Hoot Hoots, get some Noctowls in play, just have some pressure put on the board, and just set yourself up to where you can have that big 2-prize knockout the following turn.
Agreed. And I think that's really the goal for this deck is this is a very traditional 2-2-2 deck. Like we want to just take 2 prizes, 2 prizes, 2 prizes. Trevor, on the other hand, is going to disrupt that a little bit
Yeah.
because he's going to try to not leave a 2-prizer out.
Did you see his ace spec? I
No.
think it's Scramble Switch.
Oh God. Oh Lord Almighty. To be honest, it does make sense in the deck.
Yeah.
Just not one you see very often.
Yeah.
All right, so with Trevor's side of the board, Brian, do you want to talk about Yanmega's
I
setup?
have no idea.
Okay,
What this
well,
deck
I will
does.
talk about Yanmega. So,
Yeah.
Yanmega has Yanma, 70 HP basic, that evolves into Yanmega EX, so 240 HP, for 3 grass and a colorless energy, does 210, and you move 3 energy from Yanmega EX to one of your bench Pokemon. So the ability says when Yanmega moves into the active spot, you can search your deck for 3 grass energy and attach it to this Pokemon. So essentially, you move Yanmega up, slap a bunch of energy on it, and then you can either retreat it off into something else, or scramble switch it, or just hit with the Yanmega and shift that energy to something like an Iron Hands or something similar. So it is actually a really cool energy acceleration engine. It's just not what you'd call efficient sometimes.
Yeah, I would agree. But interesting deck nonetheless, and Trevor has kind of piloted to a decent success so far. I mean, he was able to get 2-1. I was talking to him in between. I was talking.
Sorry, that was
Yeah.
just the least enthusiastic
Yeah.
advertisement I've ever
Yeah,
heard.
I was talking to him during the break, and he said that the 2 wins he got were Grimmsnarl and Garchomp.
Okay, well, that helps. Having a grass type attacker into those is very helpful. All right, and so we do see this Budu come down. We have a rescue board available, and so Yanmega EX does retreat for 1. So that rescue board's a big deal. And now Trevor's just debating, do we research it all? And we do. What do you think about that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he wanted to, but it seems like that's kind of the choice he had to make here in order to kind of continue playing the game.
So I would agree. And unfortunately, we did have to retreat into that Tatsugiri to find a supporter. So we're not going to be able to bud you. But to be honest, Jonathan's board isn't amazing right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a Noctowl and a Prime Catcher. So, I mean, if he really wants to, he could Jewel Seeker for something like the Crispin. And then if he wanted to, he could take out one of the Yanmas.
Yes.
But I feel like that's a lot of resource usage just to get one single prizer off the board.
And this is where
Yeah.
Trevor has an advantage. Raging Bolt had a much better. Yes, Gabe Fernandez did top with it. We will check that
With
out.
Yanmega?
Thank you. Yes, I
Really?
think so. Ooh, Newtook, thank you very much for sharing that. I did not realize that. All right, so this is the thing. Raging Bolt had a big advantage recently in getting the Baby Bolt because now Raging Bolt could apply single prize pressure with a 1-prizer. However, Jonathan eschewed that route and eschewed, whatever, decided to skip that route and went with a Raging Bolt EX and Teal Mask Ogerpon. So Trevor's going to have a chance to take the first 2-prize knockout.
Yeah, it'll be with
Zoro Typhlosion. That seems way more reasonable to me too,
Yeah,
honestly. Awesome.
definitely.
All right, so Brian, please keep going.
Yeah, so Trevor does have the chance to take the first 2-prizer here as well, but I also am kind of wondering what Jonathan's looking to do here. I think he has Sada as well, so I think he's going to look to discard those energies with Ultra Ball and then play the Sada right after. That's what I'm thinking might happen. Yeah.
And that seems very reasonable because especially if you are going to be able to gust something you want to knock out, being able to set up a more stable board is
Or
good.
just knock out with the
Oh,
fan rotom.
interesting. Okay. How do you feel about that decision?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, if you start with the single prizer in play and you just attack with the stadium on board, I don't think that's fine. It's like too bad of a move here. I mean, getting good value out of the fan rotom can definitely help with your game plan.
And I would agree. I think that makes sense. And so it does give Jonathan a prize lead. It does. What was I going to say? It does put Trevor actually in a position where now he can use some of those carbon back mechanics of counter catcher and the like. So now Trevor may be able to actually draw a full hand, like play a or research, play an Iono, and then still Gus knock out.
Energy recycler.
Oh God! All right. Well,
that's
what
a card. Interesting card that got reprinted recently.
That is, and it's actually super valuable in this list.
Yeah.
And Jonathan is reading it and saying, "What is happening here?"
Yeah.
But so we do have an advantage now where we can retreat into Yanmega EX, accelerate all the energy, and then we can either boss or countercatcher this Teal Mask Ogerpon, and we're taking a 2-prize knockout.
Yeah, definitely. So very interesting start to the game here.
Yes,
Yeah.
very interesting. And I think Jonathan is very grateful for his decision to go in with Fan Rotom, not Teal Mask Ogerpon.
Yeah.
All right, so then, Brian, we see hopefully a knockout for Trevor with this Yanmega EX. What is he setting up to continue his game plan otherwise?
I think he's going to try to set up maybe another Yanmega.
My goodness, I'm sorry. We do have the counter catcher.
Yeah.
And then
Iono.
I don't know.
Trevor's the GOAT.
Yanmega, baby, is working.
Trevor's the GOAT, I'm telling you.
Dude, Dan, you're right. Zero Typhlosion is
Yeah,
fantastic.
That actually looks like a really cool deck. I want to try that out too. Shout out to Dan and the full tank gang.
All right, so we do see. Okay, so we've got some things now. So we've got Buddy Puff and a Nest Ball. We can set up some of these secondary attackers. And Brian, what are the secondary attackers in this deck?
Yeah, so the secondary attackers were kind of some of the ones we saw earlier. Like you see the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon in the deck. You see the Iron Hands was in the discard pile as well. The Ursaluna is definitely good for closing out the game as well. So there's a lot of pieces to kind of help finish up the game here.
Yes, and we do see those 3 energy go
To
onto the Blood Moon
Ursaluna.
Ursaluna. And I mean, legitimately,
it's a good strategy.
Blood Moon's going to be able to one-shot that Raging Bolt EX right off the bat. This is what I mean. The deck's working, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. The deck works.
All right. Well, so on Raging Bolt side now, Jonathan does have a chance to respond with a 2-prize knockout here with that Yanmega EX in the active. And I mean, that's still good, even if he must be reeling a little bit since Yanmega EX just knocked out his Ogerpon.
Yeah, but the only thing though with this play is now that Jonathan is on odd prizing, he's gonna have to find a way to go back to even prizing from there.
Yes. And so some Bolt lists did play something like Briar, but I mean, there's nothing really that's worth 2 prizes for Trevor that Teal Mask Ogerpon's gonna be able to reach on. So, I mean, Trevor's in the driver's seat with Yanmega.
Yeah, he's there. So interesting way to kind of go about this turn, and I think Jonathan has his lineup here. I mean, you have the grass energy to accelerate onto the Ogerpon, and you can search out your Crispin pieces to power up the Raging Bolt in the active, and you have plenty of energy to be able to knock out this Yanmega EX.
Yes, which is fantastic for Jonathan. And also, having the Raging Bolt EX in the active is fine, because if Trevor does go in with Blood Moon Ursaluna, it can still be one-shotted very easily by Jonathan with another Raging Bolt EX.
Yeah, definitely. So I think Crispin is such a good card for Raging Bolt, just because a lot of the times if you only have the one ancient Pokemon, you're going to be able to actually power up the entire attacker instead of having to rely on having 2 ancient Pokemon on your bench, or just like in the board in general.
100%. Yeah. And also having a 5th and 6th Sada is really, really good for Bolt.
Very good.
Because sometimes you don't have all the pieces available to get value out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Night Stretcher will grab the Ogre Pawn here, looking to play another Earthen Vessel here. I'm wondering what he's going to grab here. I don't really like the idea of taking out that Hoot Hoot because I feel like putting that onto the bench when you have Area 0 under depths in play just gives you more outs to do a lot more stuff in the future.
Completely agreed. And with this Blood Moon Ursaluna, you think Trevor's going to go for the Raging Bolt EX, but Jonathan's going to have to clear 4 energy from his board in order to take this knockout. So Trevor could say, hey, you know what would be really cool too is using an Iron Hands EX to knock out that Hoot Hoot.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, that would set Jonathan back big time if
Oh,
it
yeah.
comes with something like an Iono.
Definitely, definitely.
Also, as we're talking here, y'all, if you like what you're seeing, please follow. Please subscribe. On YouTube, please subscribe. On Twitch, please follow. If you want to subscribe, that's great. We don't get any payback from it. Just the store will. And I love the store, but if you want to, go for
You
it.
get some cool emotes.
You do get some cool emotes. That is very true. And you get to know whenever we're talking about Pokemon, both good, high-quality gameplay and Yanmega EX.
Exactly. And if you're interested in the other card games that the store kind of provides as well, you can get an early access notification to when we go live for those.
Yes, exactly. We do have other card games here. I just don't play them. So thank you, Brian.
Yeah,
That's a good reference.
For sure.
All right, so we do see Jonathan continuing to set up his board. I mean, is there any Pokemon he wants here more than that Hoot Hoot?
Don't know. Ooh, I don't really know how I feel about putting the Mew in play also. It just feels like we're putting way too many pieces onto the board that shouldn't really need to be there in the first place.
I don't mind the Mew coming down because, honestly, exactly like you're saying, it's not like it's a liability. Everything is a liability right now.
It's a liability, yeah.
Oh, we see the other knockdown.
What are we trying to do here? Well, this is interesting.
So it is, and to be honest, I'm not sure. So I have 2 issues with this. Number 1, why? Number 2,
oh, I think he's trying to go for a play to take out the Ursaluna.
that
we could be reaching for it.
We could. I don't. Yeah, it looks like we are.
Yeah, looks like we're reaching for it.
Oh, and we're going for the other Raging Bolt EX. So in that case, getting Mew makes sense because now you have a pivot.
Yeah, you have a pivot, and you're gonna need to. Now Trevor's kind of thinking about how he wants to approach this next part of his turn. Then,
to be honest, I don't know how much it changes for Trevor because he's still 1 gust away from taking 2 prizes anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
And actually,
looks like we're just making sure everything is okay here. Okay, cool. Yep, put in the Ursaluna. And he's going to draw off of Restart here. And looks like we're going to get a Bellowing Thunder for 280 damage.
Yeah, so a couple things here. Like, number 1, I don't mind this line for Jonathan. I just think it uses up too many resources.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like it uses a lot of resources.
The other thing I wanted to note, and again, sequencing is key. So Jonathan retreated the Mew and then used Restart. These are all things where you could restart before retreating. Does it make a big difference here? Not really, but there are times when that sequencing order could really, really matter.
Yeah.
And now for Trevor, we do get to go back into this Yanmega.
Search for 3 more energies.
Yes, which is a big deal because I believe we have a boss's orders in hand.
Yeah, it's either the boss's orders or I also see that we have the black belt's training.
Oh,
and
man.
Also put us a little over the line as well.
And honestly, that seems so much better here because then you can save that gust for later in the game when maybe you aren't able to reach.
Definitely. And
This is wild.
Having all these Yanmas also kind of helps too to kind of set Trevor up for the end game.
100%. So we see the energy attachment. Is there anything else Trevor needs to do to set up his board?
Not that I see really. I mean, it would be nice for him to get attachment for turn as well. He has something that he can kind of do from there. Oh, it looks like he's going to take out the Pheasantipity, and I really like this play a lot.
I agree. I think I like this way better than going for the black belt, only because Jonathan's hand is clearly empty.
Yeah.
So why give him an opportunity to draw 3 more cards?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I say that, and Jonathan's hand's actually pretty good because we got a lot of stuff in there that we can use to draw and play the game.
Definitely.
But Trevor also knows Jonathan can't disrupt and take a knockout.
Yes, that's another thing too. Is Raging Bolt traditionally only plays 1 disruption card, either a Judge or an Iono, and it's one of those things where if you play that, you're not going to be able to get as much energy acceleration as you would like. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to pick your poison. It's either you're going to attack or you're going to disrupt your opponent, kind of thing.
I think the one out is there is Blood Moon Ursaluna with a single attachment, followed by a Judge Iono, but Blood Moon's already in the discard.
Yeah.
So it would have to be a Night Stretcher, and I think we've used 2 of those so far.
And does Blood Moon knock out the Yanmega?
I think Yanmega has 240 HP.
Oh, does it? Okay.
I have to
Yeah.
look that up. I'm going to be straight with y'all.
Yeah.
That is one I do not have memorized.
Yeah.
So let me take a look. Yanmega EX. It has, oh no, it has 280 HP.
Yeah, I was
Never
about to say,
mind.
it's a stage 1. Usually, I mean, we've definitely seen some weird printings where there's cards that have a lot of HP for the stage that they're at, but I mean, 280 for a stage 1, I think that's pretty reasonable.
That's fair. Wow. My brain was all the way in GX times, and they're a
Yeah.
lot lower. But yeah, so then we will have to use Sada, which we did use.
Yep.
So we're a single attachment away only from taking a knockout here. But then all Trevor needs is either Bear or Gust
Yeah.
or a Black Belt or something combined with the Yanmega EX.
Yeah, it looks like Jonathan's going to be able to take a knockout anyways with that attachment for turn, and it's just going to be about if Trevor's going to be able to find a way to get that Yanmega EX back into play.
Well, honestly, this has been really cool because Yanmega actually has functioned very, very well this
Yeah,
game.
definitely.
And so we see Jonathan kind of debating, is there anything else you think he's trying to do?
No, I think he's just trying to have some just some extra setup here. And looks like Jonathan's just trying to clean up the board a little bit, which is
Yeah.
good.
And so we do see go to 5 bench Pokemon with that Jamming Tower coming down. Go
Yep.
into the Raging Bolt EX, and then
I think Trevor has a Yanmega EX in hand.
I
I think that red
so.
looking card is the full art.
I think you're right. And so we do see the knockout. We see the Budu come up to the active for Trevor, and do we have the response?
Yeah.
Well, we have a boss.
Yep. We got we got the Yanmega.
We've got a Jet Energy to get into the active. We could throw more energy on it if
Yeah,
we really
or the
wanted.
black belt or the boss.
Yes, and we have the Black Belts training to hit for 250 knockout Rage Belt. And Jonathan is saying a lot of words I'm also not allowed to say
Yeah.
on stream. Yanmega EX
Yanmega EX.
taking the
Takes the
last
Dubsky.
round.
The Dubsky.
Fantastic. All right, so I don't think we could end on a better note than Yanmega
Yeah.
EX winning. So, Brian, is there anything else you wanted to share, talk about before we close out here
Yeah,
today?
I just want to say thanks to everybody for always coming out and coming to watch, either if you come to the
Green Bridge.
or if Green or Chaladon. I just want to thank everybody for coming, even if it's just to play or if it's just to watch us. We appreciate you guys coming out week after week to support us. Make sure to check out our upcoming events. We've got the 3v3, the charity event, and then our league is going to be starting up pretty soon.
Yes, absolutely. And so from my end, again, appreciate y'all joining. If you don't mind, follow all the things, because honestly, we love getting to do this. So the
Yeah.
more people we get to watch this, the more likely Norm is to continue to let us do this.
Yes, absolutely.
So appreciate you all coming out. We will definitely be talking next week about some of the cool different decks we may see going into Worlds.
Yep.
And then, like you said, the big thing for me that I care about is our big charity event coming up. So if you don't
Absolutely.
mind, share it, tell people, tell the world about it, tell your mom, tell your cousins, whatever. We just want to do some good for
Yeah,
people.
absolutely.
All right, well, thank you all very much for joining. Really appreciate your time, and we will see you here next time at Nerd Rage Gaming.